Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 59 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who are I got nothing. Who's with me tonight?
Stefan JD, because I got nothing either.
I got nothing, Stuart Hughes. I tried.
And our special guest?
Yes.
Yeah. Did we lose him? Okay. We have a special guest. We're having technical difficulties. He'll introduce himself when he pops back in.
Stefan, should have said Ace of Spades. Damn it.
The Ace of Spades. The Ace of Spades.
No idea what you're talking about.
It's a song.
It's a card deck, also.
Yeah.
It's a suit. That's what I mean.
Okay. So first, Stefan, you want to introduce what lovely game you picked out for us tonight?
This has been a really weird opening.
Everything's going as planned.
Yep, we are all on it today.
It's the theme. It's a little mad in here, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going a little mad here. No, we were playing American McGees Alice, which came out in 2000. I think it was published by EA. Yeah, and it was developed by Rogue Entertainment, and it came out on a bunch of platforms, but we played it all on PC.
Yes.
It's also the only real Rogue Entertainment game aside from some Quake 2. I guess they did Quake 2.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we should mention that American McGee is best known for coming out of id when he did Doom 2, I think he worked on, Final Doom, and then both of the Quake games, maybe? Before he got fed up and left?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Oh, and can y'all hear me?
There we go.
Oh yeah, there I am. Okay, it was being weird for a second. Hey guys.
It's Skype.
Whoa, that was
Skype goes.
very
and
weird.
our
intro.
special guest.
Hey guys. It is Cody Swampborn of the House Laveau, professional Rhino Wrangler, Warden of the Riverlands, Bender of Limbs, Winter Soldier, Gentleman Adventurer, former handsomest man, breaker of hearts, treasure hunter, friend to every single animal, father of Grovers. Yes, the Cajun Crippler, the Mississippi Miracle, the Acadian Nightmare, the one and only Cody Laveau. What's going on, guys?
It was worth it. It was worth it to have
nice.
technical difficulties.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question here? Okay.
No,
okay.
no
I just realized, Stefan, your name is Stefan, JD.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. I've been listening for weeks and weeks and months, and I thought your name was Stuffin, JD. So named for being a generous and thorough lover. I thought it was Stuffin, JD.
Definitely gonna start calling
this
it that.
is brand new.
I'm glad we cleared that up because I was actually also confused. I kept thinking it was Stefan too.
Yeah.
Stuffin, JD, ladies, just saying, throw that out there, man. Make it work for you.
Which usually translates to stuffing of the cat.
All right.
You do know there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say in this game.
Mhm.
I know that.
Stefan JD backwards is DJ Neffet.
Yeah, that's right. What episode was that from? That was so long ago.
I didn't write down our stupid jokes when that happens. I got nothing.
We're still waiting for somebody else to make a wiki because we're too lazy.
I am. I'm waiting for someone to do it.
My name backwards is Trouts, which sucks.
Ooh.
I have no idea what mine is. All right, but one quick thing that I do want to point out, if you do want to play this game after listening to this episode, or even before you listen to this episode, there is no way to play this game on PC right now. Unless you
really
go and
tricky.
buy a copy from eBay.
Mhm.
So the only way to legally get this game right now, if you didn't have it and don't want to go to eBay, you have to buy a copy of Alice Madness Returns for PS3 or 360. Good luck with that one. Find it, then on a 360 or PS3, download the old Alice game. That's the only way to play it without buying off eBay for an old PC copy with the CDs.
Yep.
I
And
didn't play it that way.
this game is like the unofficial sequel to Alice. For anyone who's curious, this is just what happens after that story. That and The Looking Glass, I should say. Because there are two separate stories.
Oh, another story?
Yeah, it's the sequel to Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland.
Mhm.
Alice in the Wonderland.
And there will be spoilers, because that's what we do. So,
Also,
for what, a 20-year-old game now?
yes.
for Alice in
Hey,
Wonderland.
somebody got upset with me when I spoiled Final Fantasy IV that Palom and Prom turned into stone at one point in the game. The guy's like, man, I just got there. And I'm like, this game came out when I was like 6. I think it's okay.
I got into an argument with somebody because I spoiled Star Wars for them. Not the new Star Wars, the
So
original
like
Star
77, 78 one or whenever
Yeah.
that came out. Wow.
And they were like, some people just don't have time to watch movies. I'm like, look, it's been like 50 fucking years. Like,
Shut up.
Like
It's 91.
it's 2 hours
nonstop for
exactly.
50 years. You've got other issues.
Oh, and Alice Carroll wrote this book in 1865. So you've had since the end of the Civil War to read the book. So if we spoil that, yeah.
I have a
That
question
Snyder was that
about
old.
about this game's story. Do you think there's a chance that perhaps Zachary Snyder maybe played this game at some point in his life?
Oh, I know what you're referring
I
to.
mean,
Sucker Punch?
Yep.
Sucker Punch.
I can't get that
entire
hour back.
time playing this game. I was like, this is like one of the only Zack Snyder movies that people like genuinely love.
I
I'm
do
pretty sure
like
it's all stolen from
that
this
film.
game.
Yeah.
Sucker Punch. I tried, like, I thought,
Other
okay,
time.
I'm going to like this because, you know, it's just that kind of movie. And I made it through an hour and I'm like, okay, even I can't do this. Like, this is just god awful. So,
I genuinely like some parts of Sucker Punch, but I like it a little bit less now that I've played American McGee's Alice because I'm like, Zack Snyder just fucking stole everything.
It's like a CGI orgy. That's all he knows
Pretty
how to
much.
do.
Yeah,
But that's the good thing about Sucker Punch is that if you made your own sort of cut of that with just the weird fantasy steampunk zombie dragon thing, like if you just did those, it's like 8 minutes of of just really solid filmmaking.
yeah, just
So-
a fantastically interesting world, and then people start acting.
for about 8 minutes of like a 90-minute movie. So
Yeah.
just
So
find
don't
that. So that's the real Snyder cut right there.
don't watch that
Way short.
movie. Just play this game. Do that. Do that.
Actually, that's a much better. Yeah.
They should like make they should start making like unsnydered cuts. It's just they take out all of his influence in the film.
they already did that. It's called Justice League.
Oh, okay.
Oh, which was
That's true,
which
yeah.
explains a lot.
Burn.
And that movie's okay.
So, speaking of Alice, like, this is actually like kind of a direct sequel then to the books, right? What we were
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, so
Okay.
she basically what happened is she's orphaned because her family died in a fire in their house, which apparently somehow she survived. And she's now in Routledge Asylum in London.
It's very Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, and it's still 1874, and she's been there for 10 years. So she's like, I think she's close to 18 now or something. And she starts showing signs of recovery because she like had PTSD to see her family burn. So
Yeah,
she's
in,
coming back out of it.
she's
That's
in,
probably pretty terrible.
a catatonic state.
Yep.
Plus, asylums in the 1800s would have been fucking awful.
I mean, asylums now aren't that great.
I mean, it's not great.
No,
Anything. Yeah.
It's pretty much like, well, we've tried lobotomizing her and that didn't work, so I guess we'll just let her live here forever until she dies, and then somebody 40 years later can come in and make a ghost story about it.
The good old days.
I hate when people use that phrase when they mean it. Like, I know you don't mean it. I hate when people actually mean it.
Yeah,
Back
yeah.
in the-
Well, that's yeah.
When I'm talking about ghost hunters, I absolutely mean the good old days. Look, 2010 to 2011 was a fantastic year, right?
Oh, and
Much
I
simpler
had okay. This one I want to say it's off top, but I'm going to say this anyway. I had a guy come in. He was probably like 16, and we were talking, and he's like, "Man, I wish we would have days where people all didn't have a phone. Everyone's just looking at their phone." I'm like, "Buddy, you don't want them. You don't know. Like, I
How
was
old
there.
were
These
you?
are better days. Like, it's better. You don't know what you're talking about. Instead, you were drawing in a notebook, ignoring people. Like, no, this
Yeah.
is better.
Back
I
then,
know,
you had
I
to
know.
have like inner thoughts and think about yourself and your feelings. Nobody wants that.
I mean, I just wrote a book. That's what I ended up doing, which I don't have
People
anymore.
now,
Yeah.
like, yeah, people need to get off their phones and talk to each other. It's like, what the fuck do you think I'm doing on my phone? I'm talking to people that I like. I'm not talking to
Right.
you, random guy. All that says to me is like, I wish people would still talk to each other. It just means that nobody wants to talk to you. You're upset that
Bingo.
people are in a situation where they no longer are forced to talk to you on the bus. That's all that
As if
means.
on the
people
bus anyway.
didn't have like I mean, didn't all of us just listen to like Walkmans and like play Game Boy Color back then anyway?
Yeah.
It's just putting it all into one thing, you know?
All people were doing were playing with Digimon and raising Pokemon. There's no difference.
That was pretty much me, yeah.
Yeah.
Before I had a phone, all I would do is I would get lost in the woods and get bit by a snake and then have to come back. All right? It was not better.
Did you actually get bitten by a snake at some point?
I've been bitten by a couple snakes.
I have too. Oh my god! I
None of
don't.
them
I don't
venomous,
meet
thankfully.
people. Oh, well, that's okay. Well, that's very good. That's awesome.
That's partly kind of your job description too, isn't it, Cody? We're not
Yeah,
bitten
well,
by
this
snakes,
was
but
Official
this
snake
is back
fighter.
when I was a snake. Yes, I am a semi-pro snake fighter, but this is very early in my animal career, and I thought I was being a hot shot. And I just picked up a copperhead by its tail, and it just jumped back up and got me right on the left arm.
Yeah, they can totally do that.
Yep. It turns out that they are not like rattlesnakes, where as long as the front part of them is hitting the ground, they won't coil up as quickly. And copperheads apparently will just swing right back up at you. And I did not get the memo for that. So
Yeah, that's why everybody in Virginia owns 2 shovels. You own a shovel for digging, and you own a shovel for killing snakes.
I still don't kill snakes.
I've killed so many fucking cottonmouths.
Oh, cottonmouths are wicked, dude. They are a nasty snake for sure.
They're awful, and they get goddamn huge. And they play dead too. They're assholes. They play dead. They're like if they see you, they roll over, so that way you think they're dead, and you're like, I gotta go like chuck this thing in the woods. And then you get anywhere near them, and they flip back over and try to bite you.
So I take it the shovel just goes in the head, huh? You're like, we're not even playing this game.
But you still got to watch the head because pit vipers can still strike even when their heads are cut off.
Yeah, thematically, it's very similar to this game.
Yeah, actually, yes. This you could totally put that into Alice.
So this game just starts off just fucked up. Like you're coming back to Wonderland. That's Wonderland, right? Yeah. After all these years, and since she's went kind of psycho and the fire, and she's not okay anymore. Though everything is just fucked up. Like the whole world is this game was really fucking dark. Like I'm not big into horror games, as many people know who listen to this podcast, and I was like, this is one messed up game.
Well, because I was wondering this the entire time. Are you in Wonderland or are you in Alice's mind? Is Wonderland real?
I'm pretty sure Wonderland is her mind.
Thing.
Like it's the way she corrects things. Like she's correcting her sanity through going to Wonderland, is what it is. I think.
Yeah.
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 Because the original book, she actually was going. I mean, like you could kind of read it as like it's all mental, but it is actually her going to Wonderland.
Because she is mad.
I mean, this is kind of I would say this is more psychosis in a sense. Oh, and for those that don't know, this game is a platformer action game, let's say, right? You can jump around. You get action adventure platform hack and slash. I wouldn't really consider hack and slash, but that's what the genres it fits. So you can move around with the keyboard or controller. You aim with a mouse, and you can use different weapons. You get a variety of weapons. You can jump, and this game loves platforming. Yeah, that about sums it up.
Yeah, it seems right. Very much like Heavy Metal. If y'all played that game, I think it was even made on the same engine as that, so it has a very similar feel. If you played that game like in '98, totally for the plot and not the giant tits of the main character in Heavy Metal. But that game was really rad, and I think Alice was sort of based off of that, and at least with the design of it. Did any of y'all play that, or am I just spitting at you here?
I think I played it back in the day, but I don't really remember much of it. It was a weird game.
Yeah, it was. And so I think that these two are sort of kindred spirits type of games. If it was a double feature, I think that would be like a good 1 and 2, because that definitely when I replayed it, I instantly thought back to playing Heavy Metal like back in 98, 99, something like that.
Yeah. This is the first game that I got a ROM of back in the day on an actual CD.
Wow.
And it even had a file on there that said extra. And I was like, what's extra? Like extra stuff for the game? And I clicked it. And apparently my friend had also stashed all his porn on there too. So I got a little extra with this game when I played it back in the day.
I have a fun bit of trivia about Lewis Carroll that people might not know, which I was thinking about. I didn't remember it until I started playing this game and started thinking about Alice in Wonderland, because I quite like Alice in Wonderland, and there's a fantastic story about how Queen Victoria also really loved Alice in Wonderland. And for those who don't know, Lewis Carroll kind of like wrote these books. There's a lot of like theories as to why he wrote Alice in Wonderland, because he is mostly known as a mathematician. One of the things he did was he wrote this book, and Queen Victoria fell in love with it, and she said she said something along the lines of like, dedicate your next book to me. And so he sent her a copy of his next book. In the front, it says like, to Queen Victoria. And the name of the book was An Elementary Treatise on Determinants. It was all about mathematical formulas. Oh, I so love this world.
It's kind of funny. Wasn't Lewis Carroll the Narnia guy? No, I'm thinking of that's C.S. Lewis.
That's C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm tired. What can I say?
Different.
Actually,
slightly less absurdist.
I have to be right back. Can you take over? Okay.
Can you take over what he says to the empty void? C.S. Lewis was also not mainly I want to say he wasn't mainly a writer. He was like a theologian, I think. A lot of famous writers were known for being writers.
Yeah, I think C.S. Lewis was also a juggalo, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, sure. Let's say that too.
Story checks out there.
Yeah, the guy who wrote Christopher Robin, huge fucking juggalo. I can't even remember the name of the guy who wrote Christopher Robin now. They just made a movie about him.
He has like a proper name too.
Yeah, because Christopher Robin was the name of his son. Or Robin was the name of his son, like his nickname.
A.A. Milne?
Yeah, Alan Milne.
Yeah, I just totally Googled that. But yeah, A.A. Milne.
Yeah.
But yes, very, very proper British name.
Mm-hmm.
All good books if you want to read like novels from the 1860s. Anyway, back to Alice.
Yeah, I think proper misconception about Lewis Carroll is that he took LSD, but LSD wasn't created yet, so I don't know why people always say that.
Right. I think just because the book is so absurd, but
yeah,
I want to say he wrote the books as there's a lot of theories on it. One of my favorites is he wrote them as like a essentially like as a mocking prank on people, where he was like I'll show you how absurd you are. I'll write the most absurd book ever, and I'll like make it about you.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense.
No.
I've never read the book and probably never will. So
you never read Alice in Wonderland? Well, you know the story of Alice in Wonderland, though.
Yeah, I've seen the movie.
I think it's impossible to not know it.
Yeah.
Hey, I spoiled Final Fantasy IV for somebody, so everything possible.
Yeah, but Alice in Wonderland's a little bit more invasive to society. But all the classic Alice in Wonderland characters show up in this, which is certainly fun. I actually really like
sort of.
No, they're all in there. Even the characters.
I mean, they show up. Just demonic versions of them.
Yeah, it's the Silent Hill of Alice in Wonderland.
That is a really good way to describe this game.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
All the elements are there. They're all just wrong.
I mean, I had been interested in playing this game for well over a decade, but I never would have done it. But now I did. But I mean, I've always wanted to. Like, this is, I mean, just for something, like, I've heard of this game, and I mean, seeing all the weird shit that's in it has always had my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything is weird. Like, even, I can't even remember the beginning enemies. Like, when you kill one of the card soldiers that are throughout the game all over the place, I mean, I normally shot them with the card weapon that you get, but if you hit them with a knife, you just cut off their head or cut off their body and his blood comes splurting.
Oh, yeah. You straight up cut them in half. Like, I was about to say Princess Mononoke style, but that only happens like once in that movie.
It happens a lot in this game.
Straight up go berserk on their asses.
You can go berserk in this game, and you get that little red bottle, which did nothing for me ever. Like, it really didn't help.
That was...
I never seemed to pick up that bottle, like, at the right time. Was that anybody else?
I picked it up a couple times, but I was like, I don't know. I'm surely I am stronger, but I don't understand how, really.
Yeah, it was very, very much in the vein of Doom, I would say.
It just needed to last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Communicate what it did a little bit better.
Yeah. I want to say, like, every placement of it, I would get it, and then I would try to go kill things, but nothing was around. It's like, this is the worst placement.
Yeah.
I always got it at the wrong time. I was, like, hunting around. I might find one enemy that I could have killed anyway, and then just poof.
I mean, I play it on easy, so it never felt overly hard. It never felt in a sense of, like, where I was being really overwhelmed with the game, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Which was nice. I enjoyed that. God, and if this game didn't have quick saving, I never would have seen the end.
Yeah. The save system's actually not too bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
I had
nice
30
little
pages.
quick save, quick load. I'll be right back.
Is there a button that did it?
Yes.
God, I did escape, save.
It's like F1 and F4, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we talk ahead of time?
Because then we miss out on fun little bits like this where one of us doesn't know how to play the game.
Yeah, that happened. I hit save, load, exit. I mean, I lost 20 minutes of time probably based on that. I saved like 32 pages worth of saves.
I can't wait till we get to an episode where Mike's like, "You can reload." I had no idea.
That far. Well, speaking of dumb things, like when I played Resident Evil 4, I didn't know you could break the barrels until after I beat the game. So.
Oh my god!
How? How did you beat?
I don't know.
You missed so much ammo. How did you even get through that?
I don't know. I had a hard time the first time, but
Mike accidentally
we'll talk about
played
that
Resident Evil like we play Resident Evil stuff.
Sorry, stuffing. I'll start calling him stuffing. Oh, but what I do want to say, like with this game, is everything about this game, like as you progress through, they give you a little world map that kind of shows you as the game is progressing. Like everything is messed up, everything is dark and crooked and terrifying. Like it feels very hostile.
I really like the way. I wasn't expecting to like so much of this game aesthetically, but I fucking love that little like map they show you. That is like one of the greatest things ever to come out of this game, out of anything. It's such a great like depiction of where you are, where it's an empty void and it's just like clicking in extra map bits as you go on.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole thing is she's trying to get. Isn't she trying to get? I know at one point for the first part of the game, she's trying to get the potion to shrink down for some reason. I forget why.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is you've got to kill the queen, even though the queen is already dead. You come back and everything's ruined, and the Cheshire Cat, who's like your like sage character that tells you what to do, is like, the queen again. I thought I've already done that. She's like, nope, you got to do it again.
He is one fucked up character in this thing. Like I made the joke earlier. You say the line like, "There's more than one way to skin a cat." When you first get the knife, he's like, "I prefer if you don't use that phrase again." Like it made me laugh.
I abhor that expression.
It was great. Like I'm like, yeah, you would.
I like his little like comments whenever you pick up a weapon. It's like, when it's a croquet mallet like a billy club, whenever you need it to be.
that was great. Like I didn't use the weapon very much, but it was cool.
I played around with the different ones.
With the mallet, you didn't use that because I feel like I was using that one a bunch compared to anything else. Like the cards to me were like useless.
Oh, what difficulty were you on?
Easy.
Okay, I used the cards up until I got the ice staff. I used the cards for probably a good half of the game.
I was very annoyed by the cards.
Yeah, I would switch back and forth between them.
Yeah, that was my main go-to weapon for a large part of this game. Even when I got the ice staff, I still used the cards.
I used the cards a bit, but I didn't like how quickly they drained your sanity. Oh, we should say, this game has health and sanity is kind of like your
mana.
It's like or maybe mana. I don't know. I just took it to mean sanity.
Or will. I think it's will, right?
Is it will? That's like your
Yeah, I think it's will. But it all just, it's just,
Sanity, mana, Santa. It's all the same.
Your Santa. That's your Santa. And yeah, every weapon uses, aside from your knife, all like special weapons use up your Santa. And at different
not
amounts.
The croquet mallet, unless well, every weapon has like a special effect too, where if you right click, at least if you're playing on PC, everything can do something special. Like she'll throw the knife, which is useless. The card, she'll throw
the
all
knife
the cards.
I use that constantly.
Yeah.
I missed and then had to wait every time.
That was like my main weapon.
I would say when I ran out of willpower, Santa, then I would switch to the knife and just throw it real quick while I was waiting for it to load up. Because every enemy drops health in this game and willpower, which is really weird, but it's just...
I loved it. It
You're under
you can find like little willpower, like mod nodules fucking everywhere. Like every single room has some willpower in it. So you never really in a place where you're out of Santa and like worried. Maybe later on.
You can get beat up fast though if you're playing stupid.
Oh yeah, you can get killed. Yeah. I played on easy.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine playing this game on like nightmare.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did anyone else
find the? What's that?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, did anybody else find the blunderbuss? Like, did y'all play around with that?
I found it
because I used it one time and it like all of the Santa was just instantly done. I'm like, oh well, this is this was very dumb, and then it got put away and I never used it again.
The only time I really used it was at the end against the queen.
Yep. I shot her, switched, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just like, I was like, well, that's like pointless.
It's useless.
Right.
I mean, my favorite weapon was the ice wand that you get midway through where you can like freeze enemies. But if you hold down too long, she'll freeze them and then nothing will happen. So I would just freeze it. It would use about maybe 2/3 of my bar. And then I would just wait, get more, and then just keep. And I loved it.
That was the weirdest part of the game too, probably, is that little ice cave where you get that.
That was annoying. Like, I was like, why? Like, this game has everything. It has lava levels. It has a fucking clock tower, for God's sake. I felt like I was playing Castlevania.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of fun. I didn't like it, but it was kind of fun. You have the ice level where you slip sliding away, and I was getting irritated. You have underwater levels that aren't horrible, actually.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, the last like third of the game is a water level. There's so much. There's a lot of water levels in this. I was not expecting so many, and I wasn't expecting them to play as well as they did.
Oh, there's an air meter that you can't see
until you get the turtle shell, which somehow lets you breathe underwater.
No,
kind of.
There's still an air meter.
Was it the turtle shell just lets you breathe longer? I think, right?
Yeah, if you don't swim in bubbles, you will eventually hear. And if you hear again and again, then the health bar starts going down.
I have a question. Turtles are amphibians, right?
They are reptiles.
They are reptiles? Okay.
They are reptiles, yeah.
This game kept saying they were reptiles, and I was like, I thought turtles were... Maybe some turtles are amphibians.
No.
They are amphibious reptiles, which amphibious just means like they live in both water and land. So a lot of people hear the word amphibious and they think that they're amphibians, you know.
Oh,
but no,
I got the perfect guy.
Amphibians are like reptiles or are like salamanders, frogs, toads, things like that.
Yeah. And reptiles are like reptiles are more like
snakes, crocodiles.
Yeah.
To be an amphibian, you just have to like undergo a change, like specifically like frogs do. You have to have like a metamorphosis.
That's part of it. Big part of it is they respirate through their skin as well as lungs. They so they have very sensitive, very porous skin, and they're often covered in slime, whereas reptiles are covered in scales and they breathe through lungs. So
I think my cousin might be an amphibian.
Oh, and for those that don't know, Cody works with animals for a living. So
and who said that podcast wasn't smart?
Right. Yeah, no, I live on a ranch with there's 2 alligators that are about 20 yards from me right now. I can look out my window from where I am right now, and they're watching me podcast as we speak.
That would scare the shit out of me. Oh my god.
We could actually bring back our old CFAX thing probably for this one episode.
I have a great whale fact for you. I was saving that for the very end, but yes,
we'll do it at the end.
We'll have a CFAX for the first time in like 30 episodes.
Yeah.
Please hit us with all of those, please.
But my favorite weapons in the game were probably like the dice and the jacks, because I'm always a fan of any weapon that can turn on you.
Use the dice?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The dice will they spawn a demon that like attacks anything in the room. I tried that more later.
Attack me. We were done.
Well, yeah, you gotta use them when you're alone. When you're not alone.
I hit the wrong button.
I felt like
comes out. They lack loyalty. They'll attack anything.
Yeah, that was one of the... Oh, speaking of the Cheshire Cat real quick, I don't know if anyone noticed this, but his voice actor actually played Ghostface in Scream.
Really?
Yep, same guy.
Huh.
Interesting.
Huh.
And Mojo Jojo, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm such a bad horror fan. I'm like, oh, Scream, interesting. Mojo Jojo?
I don't even know what Mojo Jojo is.
He's the fucking villain for the Powerpuff Girls, yo.
The monkey.
That's the only time that sentence has ever been said.
Yeah.
Mojo Jojo.
Yeah, he's great.
I did use the jacks a few times. I didn't like how you have to wait a little bit, but if you hit them at the right spot and they just go bouncing all over the place, they mess people up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah. I use them at
very sad.
They have like an attack and an alternate attack as well.
I never use the alternate.
Yeah, their primary is you also get like a jack bomb later, which is
I never use the toys. Like there's a little jack and when you said jack, you meant the red jack, not Jack in the Box, right?
Yeah, you get the jacks, which are like from the jack. They're from like the
game where they
the little caltrops.
Yeah, which I have never.
Perfect. Yeah.
I remember as a kid in the grocery store, you would see little like stupid little play sets and have the red rubber ball and the little plastic. Well, these case they're little plastic caltrops, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like you bounce the ball and try to pick them up or something?
You never played jacks? I sound like I'm 50 years old. You never played jacks?
I didn't know that anybody's played jacks since since like Eisenhower was in office. I think was the last time anybody.
I've played jacks, but I've grown up in some I've been to some very rural places where pretty much jacks and fishing is still the only thing you could do. Oh no, fishing is rad. Anybody that knows anything about me, I will talk about fishing all damn day long. But were you playing jacks like just before you went to like the like box social or or
like waiting on the trolley to like take you down to the Nickelodeon or something?
Yeah, it was right before my parents bought a wife for me. That was when I was playing jacks.
Everyone had the gold jacket except for you, Stu. You wanted to get that gold jacket.
Gotta get that gold jacket. Yeah, but the jacks have like their primary attack is you throw them and they bounce all over the place. The secondary attack is you just chuck them as hard as you can at somebody.
That would have been useful a few times. Some of the boss fights were
just like real life.
Yeah, just like real jacks. Yeah, you play jacks until you get annoyed and then you throw the jacks at your cousin. And he retaliates later way over the top. I'll say I used the cards on like the beetle enemies because they were high up, but that was about it.
Yeah. That whole part when you shrink down, I did not enjoy being Chunk. Like I did just not. I don't know. I didn't like the platform. I didn't like the beetles. I didn't like the part where you think you're Indiana Jones. You have to run from a boulder that like bounces and chases after you.
Oh, I love that. The boulder's so slow.
Not a fan. Well, I made the mistake. Like
so slow.
Like, I got away from it. I'm gonna save. So I saved. I loaded. There's the boulder right there. Boom, ran me over. I'm like, fucking A.
I just keep hearing everyone say boner.
You gotta run that boner so slow. You gotta get the hell out of there. I like that your main weapon is like a butcher knife, a la like Halloween.
Oh yeah,
it is a mess. I never used it very long, but yeah, it's a mess.
I used it so much. It was my main weapon.
I didn't like it.
Oh, I thought it was so easy to like. You'd see an enemy at far away, and I would just be like, all right, I'm just gonna sit here and like chuck the blade at him 3 or 4 times and kill him, and not have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
plus you run out of Santa, and you just start panicking and like slashing like crazy.
Yeah, that I watched my health go down real fast when that would happen. When I get in a fray, a battle.
Yeah,
fun.
Does the second game? Because we didn't even say like our history with this, but I've never played this game.
Me either.
So I didn't know if like does the second game build off of the like blade mechanics at all? Or like Albertin Santa mechanics. I think I was just calling it Santa.
From what I remember, I think it mostly focuses on the extra weapons. I still think the blade doesn't play a big role in it, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
it might be on the show depending on how this episode does.
It probably will be on the show because I want to play it now.
Nice.
I do too, actually, but that's another story. But I was saying, like, when you're shrunk down, it's just like I did like the ants wearing Confederate jacket with muskets, like that. That made me smile inside.
Oh yeah,
was this the ants led by the head Nazi ant?
Oh, the centipede, not even
that
ant.
was the centipede.
But yeah, he has he's not a Nazi. He has a German World War I helmet on.
Yeah, he's a Prussian general.
Which I thought was cool because, I mean, I was thinking to myself, well, the Prussians would have been around at this time. I mean, it still would have been an empire or whatever the hell it was.
I feel like ants were very big in games around this time and have since become less important, specifically ant lions. Like, it seems like...
What year did Bug's Life come out? Bug's Life? And ants?
I don't think there were ant lions in A Bug's Life, though. I think it's like somebody in 1997 said the word ant lion, and a bunch of game developers was like, that sounds awesome! Like ant lions are in they're in Half-Life.
Yeah, they're definitely in Half-Life 2. I don't remember. Are they in Half-Life 1?
I think they're just in Half-Life 2. So
yeah, I think they were in Half-Life 2. Yeah,
they were in they basically show up in like Lost Planet, which I think was 2006. The ant lions show up in a ton of games. Like ants were a main enemy type for years, and then I can't remember the last time I saw a giant ant in a game.
Earth Defense Force probably has some.
Actually, I think they do. You might be right, but Earth Defense Force, you cannot judge Earth Defense Force as like a normal game series.
No,
that is a game that we will probably play at some point on this show, and that'll be the hardest game to talk about.
Yeah, it will be.
I don't know how we're gonna do it, but I love that
when
series.
that caterpillar fight irritated the hell out of me. Like, one thing with the boss fights is they're all kind of the same. You're in a room with a big monster of some sort, or a really psycho lady that wants to eat you, which we'll talk about after. And you just run around, try to hurt the enemy. There's health that will keep respawning in different spots in the room. And most bosses will spawn little critters for you to kill to get more health. And they're okay. I mean, most of them weren't too difficult. Like, they didn't bother me too much, but they felt like I was okay when I could have done without them.
I think they add to the game a little bit.
I enjoy them because they feel like it feels like a like old game. It feels like a game from back in the day
2000.
where it's got that very strict formula of we're going to fight all these enemies that look like the boss, and then we're going to fight the boss and go to a new area with new kinds of enemies.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Origami ants, that's what they were called. So they were paper. Oh no, that's in the second game.
That's in the second game.
I'm on the wiki and I'm trying to find the fucking...
There's like a whole origami portion in the second game that I hate, actually. So.
Oh, I was going to say, that sounds awesome.
You played the second one then?
Yep, I have.
Okay.
I think I played it twice.
The caterpillar fight, is that when the rabbit gets fucking killed?
You get stepped on by the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, we should mention the Mad Hatter, for whatever reason, is against you in this story. And
what's the deal with that?
So I don't know.
And also, he's like, when he showed up, I was like, oh, is that the Crooked Man? But the Crooked Man's from that's from like a nursery rhyme. That's not from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to represent like the head of the mental institute that she's at. Like, everything's representative of it. Like, I know Tweedledee and Tweedledum, who are also boss fight, they mentioned something about like molesting her and starving her.
Yeah, they're like orderlies.
Yeah, they're orderlies. So
we're calling you out, Zack Snyder.
That is a Sucker Punch too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh, that's like, I was like, that's definitely the Crooked Man. And then I got sad because Wolf Among Us 2 isn't out yet. But
No.
I was like, oh, like, who is that guy? And it took me a while. I was like, was that supposed to be the Mad Hatter? He sounded kind of crazy, but everyone sounds crazy.
I mean, the caterpillar, like the actual caterpillar from the movie, he's in here, but he's always smoking like hookah, it looks like.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what the caterpillar did in the book and the movie as well.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that actually was like one of
the
reasons Alice in Wonderland hasn't been adapted is because the caterpillar smokes hookah, and I don't know if you could get away with that in a kid's movie now.
No, but also it probably was opium in the 1800s.
It was almost definitely opium.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, because wasn't China like opium fields around that time, or they were the ones shipping it, if I remember correctly?
Well, that's a whole history to get into.
Yeah,
China wasn't.
They were having like
until Britain got involved with China.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, opium dens were definitely a thing in Victorian London when this would have been written.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, yeah, they were talking back.
Definitely. Yeah, they were all over the place there.
I want to say they started around the time of like Jack the Ripper, like somewhere around there.
Oh yeah, right. That's like a Victorian era was the 1860s to the turn of the century.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack the Ripper was around that same time. Through the 1880s, and Jack the Ripper would have, I believe, off the top of my head, been just before the turn of the 20th century. So I think Jack the Ripper was like 1890s.
Yeah,
he was a little bit later.
Sounds about right.
Or he might not have existed at all. Ooh.
Ooh.
For like the most famous serial killer of all time, he wasn't that bad. Or maybe
he killed like 4 people. Like it's not. Or he might have been a French. Oh, I just looked it up. He was from 1888 to 1891. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Around right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think by today's standards, he wouldn't even be considered a serial killer.
No, I mean he would barely make the news. Although very interesting theory is after he stopped killing there, he showed up somebody showed up in New Orleans by the name of Jacques Saint Germain, and he started to vampirically kill hookers in that city. Yeah, he would like hang them upside down and like drain blood out of it. So a theory is that Jack moved from there to New Orleans and just kept it going, and he might or might not have been a real vampire. But look that up on your own time. That's a whole long story. But
that's going to be the rest of my night.
I mean, I figured that he probably left. I mean, because when someone is like that and they're killing, they don't just stop. Like that thrill doesn't go away for them.
Well, usually it depends on the kind of killer. There's actually a thing. We're just going to talk about serial killers, but yeah, there's a thing with some serial killers where they go silent for like 2 decades and they won't kill anybody for like 20 or 30 years, and they'll come back and they'll kill like 4 or 5 more people.
Well, I want to say at one point, didn't the Zodiac just stop and he hasn't killed again, supposedly?
Supposedly, yeah.
Supposedly. But, wouldn't it be funny if like one of those guys just like slipped on a banana peel and just like broke their neck, and that's the only reason that they stopped doing it?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's almost definitely happened with somebody.
Bad car accident.
If we turn it into a true crime a podcast, we are going to get so many more hits. So
yeah,
I think it's time. I think it's time to like pivot, and now it's like four white guys talking.
Don't even
about
tease that, because I will 100%. Yeah, I was about to bring up the BTK killer and be like, that's why it took so long to catch him, was because he took like 20 years in between killings.
It'd be crimes my mom found.
Yeah,
crimes my mom found.
Coming at
$1 million podcast idea.
I was like, as a kid, I don't know how, but before I was like, when I was like maybe 10. Even before I was 10, somehow I learned about the BTK killer. And I'm going to say I was 12 when he got caught. And I was like, holy shit, they caught BTK. And all my friends were like, what are you talking about? Like, he's the most famous serial killer ever. And they're like, we don't know who that is. And I was so annoyed that they didn't know who the serial killer was who finally got caught. I was like, come on, guys.
I don't even know who that is. And I follow this type of stuff.
Have you watched Mindhunters?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, speaking of mine.
Did you watch... Did you watch Dexter? Because that's because that was basically John Lithgow in Dexter. Sorry, the dogs are barking. That was basically John Lithgow was based on.
It's the second to last season, so I finished the show.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
I need to go back and finish the last 2 seasons, but I haven't yet.
Well, I have a question, because I really don't remember the story to the second one, if it clears the air on this, but was it alluding to the fact that Alice was the killer in this? That she started the fire, or she did it on accident?
It starts near her, it feels like, but from what they never say she started, but they do say that when you're in Wonderland, they say, isn't it strange how only your room was untouched while the rest of the house was burned and you didn't realize it, or something like that?
Right.
Yeah. They kind of imply that you woke up and knew about the fire and went back to sleep. But yeah, it leaves it pretty open-ended. So
because I know in the second one they do mention that like she has a sister and she also burned in the fire, but it adds more depth to the story or something. I can't remember.
We'll talk about it someday, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I do want to mention is like there's one boss fight. The first boss fight in this game I did not enjoy, when you fight the Duchess who's trying to eat you.
That was a weird boss fight, because who the hell is the Duchess? I don't remember her from the book. I know she's in there, but
I don't either.
She is like, oh god, who is the Duchess now? I want to say she was like one of the Queen's right-hand people.
Yeah, and then in the game she's like hiding from the Queen, because she's like fears she's gonna kill her or something.
Yeah, I think.
I have no idea.
Let's see.
I know in Alice in Wonderland, she had like she was big on pepper. She had like pepper mill, but she also hated pepper.
Let's see.
She was like, she sneezed a lot in the book, and that's why when you beat her in this, she sneezes herself to death.
Oh yeah, doesn't her head explode or something?
Yeah, she sneezes and her head explodes.
This game loves exploding heads and things of that. So
that's like the main one that's like the only one that connects directly to Alice in Wonderland, though. All the other head explosions, it's like, why? Why did that happen?
Oh yeah, this guy worked on Quake. That's right.
I mean, the game does have it's in the same engine, but it also kind of feels very Quakey, as if Quake had only melee weapons, basically.
Yeah, just that absurd level design that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. My god, that level design at some point was like, there was a point where I got lost and I was just getting so annoyed.
Yeah.
I had to look up a few times because I just did not know what to do a couple times. But it's most of like what Stefan said to me before I was playing it. He's like, most of it's he said straightforward. Most of it's straightforward. Like most of this game you can just breeze through, play, kill things in front of you, and for the most part figure out where to go.
Yeah, I think that was the thing that one of the things it was criticized for actually when it was reviewed is that it was pretty strongly linear. There's like a couple parts, like the underwater segments, where it's kind of like a maze, kind of.
Yeah, I just say fuck that, because once you get to that clock section, I got lost as hell. I got so confused, and I looked up a video, and the fucking video I watched, the guy got lost in the clock section too, and I was like, great, this doesn't help at all. I was getting so annoyed.
I got a little lost in the clock section too. I mean, that was a freaky ass section, like where you really do a ton of platforming, jumping on moving platforms while you're moving that are raising up. Like it, I mean, it was a quick save, not terrible, but it was kind of intense. Like I was like, okay, this is impressive.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised to hear that people thought it was really linear, because this game has a lot of clever backtracking in it, where you get to like a dead end, you have to turn around, and suddenly the way is opened. The map has changed.
Mm-hmm.
There was one part that tricked me, and I thought my game was glitching, just like Last Express on last week, where you go in a room and you have to shoot these clocks inside an insane asylum like hallway. And I didn't do that. If you don't do that, this door will not open. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I watched the video, he goes right through the door. And then I'm like, I went farther back.
That's also the area that's filled with, as I call them, the asshole spiders. That fucking jump down and poison you, and they're dicks, and I hate them.
Yeah, those were the worst enemies in the game by far.
Yeah, they suck.
We should also mention that in that segment, which I think is linked to the Mad Hatter in some way, because there are children that you do see that are like crazy and their heads are shaved and they got like bolts in them that are walking around. And I think it's just obviously to represent that she's not the only kid in the asylum being treated. Yeah.
I love what they did with the Mad Hatter, though. I meant to, we started talking about this earlier before we got on the massive tangent. But I love that the Mad Hatter is like they took a very small thing about him in the books where he's like always late, and they just made him obsessed with time. Like dangerously obsessed with time, where he shows up to torture there's a very disturbing part where you come across a rabbit and a rat who are like being turned into automatons. And they're like, oh, the Mad Hatter will be here at 6. He always comes at 6 just to not give us our tea.
Oh yeah. Because I think in the book they're all like, they're the ones that hang out with him at the tea time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're his guests.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone who's seen the like original Disney film, you know, like that's his okay, what's this? It's like you're late, something.
Mm-hmm. It's your unbirthday. It's my unbirthday.
Yeah, happy unbirthday.
Yeah.
I was just pulling it up. It's like I'm late. That's what he says in the movie.
Yeah, and he just takes off running. I like that. Yeah, there's a very tiny thing about him that they just blow, like they crank it all the way up to 11. And he's so insane. And he might have been like my favorite character in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's strange. Like the boss fight wasn't bad. That was nice.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't have a problem with it. It was really just the caterpillar kind of annoyed me, and the Duchess annoyed me the most. And the Jabberwocky was okay, but
the caterpillar was definitely the one that annoyed me the most, because you have to wait for him to like rear up on his legs.
Yeah.
Back up every tiny red spot.
Should say this caterpillar looks like a giant Nazi caterpillar.
Well, German World War One. But
yeah.
Pre-Nazi caterpillar.
He didn't have any skulls with the symbol swastika behind it. So
yeah, is the Weimar, not the Weimar, the like cross that eventually became also Nazi symbology.
Mm-hmm.
What can we
like
say?
A Nazi would dress like now. Because they don't understand history.
Well, there's one scene we have not talked about that when I got giddy. Like, I got literally happy. When you get to the chess world in this game. I love chess. I'm a big fan of chess. And when you get to fight chess pieces, and they move like chess pieces, the bishop will only move on the squares diagonal that it can. And I was just smiling as I frozen to death.
Yeah, that was I like how there's like puzzles in that part where you become a chess piece and you're only allowed to move in chess.
Yeah, it does a bishop which moves to diagonally for those that don't know, and a knight who moves in forms of an L. Like that was really and they don't explain it all. Like a knight is a very odd piece that if you don't know how it works, you're not going to understand.
Yeah, you just have to know some basic chess rules, which was really cool. That was a really cool section.
Yeah, essentially they're like the red and white queen are at odds with each other, so they're fighting in a war. And the chess pieces, they're either for the white or for the red. And I think doesn't one of them get beheaded or something?
Yeah, the queen gets beheaded.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see it until I saw a screenshot just now when I was looking at stuff while we're talking.
Oh, yeah, it's yeah, the queen gets beheaded, and you have you're supposed to take a pawn to revive her.
That's right, restore her. Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense in the rules of chess too.
Oh yeah, because you get a pawn all the way to the other side of the field, you get to restore one piece.
Yeah, you can restore usually the queen. So
yeah, if you lost it already.
Yeah, as soon as they're like, here, take this pawn with you, I was like, well, the queen's fucking dying. Like that's what that means.
God, I haven't played chess. I was actually part of a chess team back in middle school.
I
1 year.
suck at chess.
I'm good at it, but it's been a long time.
Here's the thing, I suck at chess. I've always wanted to learn shogi, and shogi is just more complicated chess.
Well, I got nothing.
Shogi is like Japanese chess. It's almost the same kind of game, but with like slightly different rules. Slightly more intense rules.
One thing I do want to touch on
Yeah.
is they do a really good job of how different all the levels are. Like everything feels kind of unique in a way, but also it's fun. Like this game also doesn't overstay its welcome. Like, I know the guide said it takes like 11 hours to beat. I want to say this was much faster than that, but it also it flowed so smoothly. Like I was having fun. I didn't want to stop playing. I'm like, yeah, I can just keep playing this. Like this was a really good game.
I think it took me about 9 hours, but I got lost. So let's maybe say like 8.5, 8.
Yeah, I would say
I was also trying to I spent a lot of time trying to explore before realizing that exploring just gets you more sanity and will. And I was like, oh, I'm not really getting anything particularly new because of this. I'm finding some weapons, but nothing that I like. This game would really serve from having more Easter eggs hidden in it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing that I felt like was missing. One thing I fucking love though about this game is every time you open that pause screen and it's like the painting of Alice in the insane asylum.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about that where I was like, oh yeah, they don't want you to ever forget what's actually going on right now where you are. It's such a stark, creepy image of Alice, like eyes wide open on the bed with that little raggedy rabbit doll.
Well, in the intro, it just mentioned they just gave her the rabbit, and that's what starts everything.
Yeah, that's also the part where I was questioning if Wonderland was real or in her head, because they say it's in her head, but when the fire first starts, the Wonderland characters are like, "Oh, we have to like do something. We have to save Alice."
I think it's just still representative of her sanity, but
it's just her brain like breaking apart,
defending itself.
Yeah,
trying to spoilers for a game that isn't that old. There's one game that I have played recently, so you got skip ahead 2 minutes. You don't want to be spoiled. The Remains of Edith Finch. I'm going to a really quick part. There's a scene in that game where it talks about a character. What Remains of Edith Finch?
Oh, Edith Finch.
Edith. Fuck. There's a small part where it shows a guy who's doing a very mundane job, and he starts to kind of create his own world. And that's kind of what this felt like. I'm not going farther than that, but I mean, it kind of felt like the same idea where, you know, to survive what she's going through and survive what happened, you create your own world to live inside because you can't live with what's really happening. I mean, which is, I think, you know, like that's how I took out of this.
Yeah, there's a word for that where you like isolate parts of your mind and like specifically repress them. There's like a specific compartmentalization. Okay. That's it.
Yeah, I want to say you kind of hit it on the head earlier, though, Stu, because it is kind of like Silent Hill. Like when you're fighting the monsters, they're representative of something that you're suppressing in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's what they all are in this game. Is just,
I liked that I never knew for sure. Like it seems like it's in her head, but just like Silent Hill, you could feasibly come away with this with different theories.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm always a fan of. When I mean, like, don't do that for no reason. Don't be like, oh, like, don't do like an M. Night Shyamalan and be like, oh, well, what if it didn't happen? Well, like when you craft something really well and you have like you actually have questions about the world itself, I'm like, oh, that usually plays off as being really interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
They do a good job with that in this game. Like coming into this game with no real previous history to it or knowledge, and not really even remembering much Alice in Wonderland. Like I was going to watch the movie before, but that didn't happen before this recording. And it grabs you.
Yeah, I mean,
sucks you into this fucked up world that very entertaining.
It benefits from I think the same thing that like Psychonauts benefits from, where it's a very strange, odd world, but because all the characters are so well defined, and because the world, despite the world not making sense, all the characters make sense within it. It just works really well, and I don't know. I was like really attached to everything, all the characters and the world itself, everything going on.
And they definitely like add another layer to it, because every single time you're just getting used to a certain setting, you go somewhere else that's completely bizarre and different than the last place. So you're always experiencing something new to like wander around, which is really great.
Yeah, when I started off, I was like, oh god, this is gonna be like, this whole game is gonna be like this starting area. And then you start, where do you go right after you go to like the intro to Wonderland? Is that the Fortress of Doors that you go to next? And I was like, oh shit, this is going to be completely different. I was the one where
you get shrunk for a while after that.
And I just like I like that the doors, every time I opened them, I wasn't sure what was going to be on the other side. I was like, is this just going to be like, at some point I thought that I had opened a door and somehow I had gone in a circle and not realized it.
Yeah.
Like, wait, where the fuck am I?
Humpty Dumpty is also in this. I felt like in one quick scene, he doesn't do anything, but he's there. It looked like Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, it is. I don't even know what he's doing. He's just sitting there. He doesn't talk to you. Yeah, he doesn't do anything.
I tried to talk to him. I think so. He's sitting on a wall and he looks all cracked up.
Yeah. That is.
Oh, and also I got stuck in the part where you have to, like, there's an early part you have to climb some ropes. I did not know how to climb. I'm like, what the hell do I do? And then I held down enter, and I'm like, oh, this makes sense.
Oh, Humpty Dumpty is in Through the Looking Glass.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's I don't think that's where it came from, but I think that was like, he just used Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah.
It's the first ever crossover.
Do what you want. I mean, there's
episode?
some, and then you have a part like near the end of the game. They start talking about how you're trying to get an army together to fight the queen, and you have this griffin that you meet that's really weird. Like, I didn't. Like, you fight this thing called a Jabberwocky. Like, throughout the game, you're collecting pieces to make the staff. Oh, Jabberwock.
Yeah, was in the
Yeah, I was in the second one.
I'm not pulling you up on it mainly. I'm pulling. A lot of people call it the Jabberwocky, but the creature is called the Jabberwock.
Well, in the Tim Burton movie, she calls it my baby Jabberwocky.
Well, in the Tim Burton movie, colors look like they threw up on the fucking screen.
I've never seen
it. And what's weird is the Jabberwock. It wasn't like blue, and it like barely danced. So I was really confused by that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's mean.
Like it didn't wear a mask. There was like no popping and locking. I didn't know what they were trying to do with it.
It's more like the Ridley of the Alice in Wonderland.
Oh.
Oh god! I knew someone was going to bring up the Tim Burton movie, and I was just like waiting to be angry. Fucking hate that movie so much.
They're both pretty bad. Yeah.
It's really like the whole thing with the Jabberwock was just annoying me. Like, when you fight him, think of it like you're kind of fighting a dragon, and he blows fire at you. But when you get lit on fire in this game, she puts her hands up and screams, and you can't do anything, and it drains your health, and that was annoying the hell out of me. And it's very hard to dodge, at least, or I sucked at it first. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah. Yeah, all the boss fights are like very concentrated in that you are in just a room with them, but there's always like two spots where health will continuously regenerate, which is there's no difficulty to them whatsoever, especially with quick save.
I did like the line there, because you're fighting the Jabberwock because you need his eye, and you're like, he does have two of them, but I hear he's quite fond of them because you need his eye to finish the staff. Like that was another time when the Cheshire Cat made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Of course he's fond of his eye. He's not going to want you to pull out his eye. Like,
Ghost face.
I like the whole Jabberwock staff building process where
that was cool.
Yeah, you pick it up and the Cheshire Cat is like altogether these pieces are invaluable, but each individual piece is only worth the corpse of a gnat.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of really cool little lines that Cheshire Cat said throughout the game that's just snarky, that just happen here and there to kind of help you lead and help you know you're going in the right direction at times too.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed all that. Like, I mean, even like the end part felt like I was ready for the game to end. You get near the end, there's a couple parts that felt like it was padding, but again, this was 2000, so it makes sense. And
yeah.
But it's just because I do a podcast every week, as you guys might know, and it's very annoying to play a game in a week some days. So I'm just like, get it over with, come on. But other than that, like when you get to the castle's cool. Like there's a maze part that irritated the hell out of me because you get to the end of this maze, you get to the door, and a little insane kid jumps on the switch, closes the gate, and runs away.
Yeah.
And I was irritated.
I want to say that the maze is complicated enough to just be. It's like good level design because it's complicated enough, but it's not too complicated to where you're like, I hate this. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't have a problem with it.
I did. But then again, you like horror games, so.
Yeah.
You also beat Resident Evil 2 Remake on Platinum that, so you like Suffering, apparently.
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't. I would feel bad for anyone that played this on Nightmare, though. This game would be way more intense than that.
Good thing there's no Platinum.
Are you talking about the maze that's the Hall of Mirrors, or the maze that's like inside the Clock and Turtles at the very end?
Near the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So like
the maze in the mirrors was annoying, but not terrible. It's the final maze where the enemies keep respawning because you have to get somebody to step on a switch. But I found an insane kid that keeps and then he ran and hit the switch for me so I could leave.
I love that like Hall of Mirrors. That was like genuinely tense because the enemies just bust out of the mirrors silently, and they can just be behind you. There were several moments in that where I was like, "Oh my!" There were several moments in that where I legitimately jumped because all of a sudden a automaton was just behind me, directly behind me, kicking my ass.
Very annoying. Oh, I also played this entire game with headphones on.
Yeah.
So, hey,
we should mention that too. That American McGee obviously probably had to have gotten like really friendly with Tool or something because if anyone remembers, or it's not Tool, but Nine Inch Nails.
Nine Inch Nails, yeah.
That Trent Reznor worked on, Quake, and now one of the guys from Nine Inch Nails worked on this game, and all the instruments he used to make the music were kids' toys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He also used a kids' choir I saw in the credits.
Yeah, everything you hear is a kid's toy, just playing music.
That's really cool. Oh. Yeah, he was the drummer for Nine Inch Nails.
Mm-hmm.
It's even creepier. I do also like it. And one thing they do is they have you fight the card soldiers throughout the game, especially near the end. And they're the same card soldiers, but they all are more powerful. Like they all shoot these projectiles that just like bomb the area. And I thought that was kind of cool how they found a way to improve on an enemy you're fighting, but still make it more unique as the game progressed. Like I did enjoy that too.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised by the amount of enemies. Every area I've said this so much on the show, but I like when you go to a new area and all the enemies are completely unique. And yes, every area you go to, you're fighting a completely different kind. Like some show up again at the end, but that's like when everybody is there. But for the most part, when you go to like the Pale Realm and you're only fighting the knights and the rooks and everything. And then like when you're shrunken down, you're only fighting like bugs because you're so tiny that the bugs are your greatest threat.
Yeah. that was annoying though. But
there's I actually tested it because there's a part when you're shrunken down that you have to go on these rivers on leaves. And there was something like popping up that can kill you if you go in the water. And I was like, what is that? Like, what would they put there for that? And I jumped in and it's literally just a bass fish. It's a giant bass fish.
Yeah, those things are fucking annoying.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was scary.
I spent a lot of time just chucking my knife into the water. Like, I'm going to kill you, motherfucker.
I'm assuming
same way how I fish in real life. I just take a bunch of chef knives with me to the beach and just chucking them in.
Throw them into the water, just ninja style.
Yeah, I'm sure you get what you get.
Yeah,
get your carp.
Yeah.
Right about all you're gonna get.
Yeah, it's out here. Yeah, out here you play jacks and you catch a skate and you get bit when you try to take a fucking hook out of its mouth. And then you punch it and you throw it back in the water and you give up on fishing.
And there's a ton of snakes. You like, where do you live that all this weird stuff is going on?
I live in the swamps of Virginia. I actually live pretty close to the Dismal Swamp, so. But yeah,
a swamp rat. I'm from the swamps near Lafayette, so we probably have a lot in common now.
I'm right in between the beach and the Dismal Swamp, and so it's like, yeah, I can go to the swamp and get killed by all the stupid animals out there, or I can go to the beach and get bit by a shark or fight a. By the way, for those who don't know, a skate is essentially a tiny stingray, and they're assholes.
I didn't know what it was, so thank you.
Yeah,
I was confused.
I think I've mentioned on this podcast before about just dealing with like all these horseshoe crabs, and you turn them over and they look like fucking aliens.
Oh, they're monstrous when you turn them upside. And kids pet them. They put them in like little so children can like touch them.
Yeah.
And if you pull them up by the tail, it's just entirely too many legs, and they have 3 eyes. For Christ's sake, they have 3 eyeballs.
I'm gonna go ahead.
They
and
are
say
not
no.
of this planet.
They look like they would fit really well in this game.
Oh yeah, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah, and they have 10 pincers. That's not even a lie. They have 10 claws. They don't have feet. They only have claws.
Nope. Mm-mm. Nope.
Yeah, they look really. God, that is awful. Like I just look at like almost all the pictures are them, of the front side of them. Then you flip them over, like that is kind of freaky.
I can't remember. It was a very, very early episode where this came up, where I just went on a huge rant about horseshoe crabs and how awful they are.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I remember it though, but I don't remember what episode.
It was back when Darius was still on, because I remember he looked up and was like, "Jesus, they bleed blue." I'm like, "Yeah, they're alien."
Yeah, there's nothing right about them.
It might have been the Banjo-Kazooie episode.
Okay, so as you're going through the castle, like I do like that they found a way to have you use the different weapons, and like even just fighting, like, and you end up seeing there's like one thing called Battle Royale or something where you see the other people that you help throughout the game fighting the card people, like at least off to the side or something. I thought that was really cool how it shows like the people that you helped are coming together to help you fight the Mad Queen.
Yeah.
I like that you're so. It feels like you're so unconcerned with that whole fight going on when you come across the Griffin and he's like, you free him. He's like, I shall be your commander and I shall gather your forces for you, the people you've already helped and the people you'll help in the future. And you're like, whatever, I just gotta kill this queen lady.
I mean, even like getting to the throne room was kind of cool. Like, I mean, that's one of the parts that I felt was a little too long when you had to go through 3 different rooms, hit a switch, go back in the first room, hit another switch, go back, hit the painting. Like, that annoyed me. Like, that felt like padding.
I think this is where they got really inspired by Doom. Like, because all the walls are just flesh and blood's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
There's lava. Yeah.
It had that really bizarre, like, puzzle in it, too, where you had the mirror and there were paintings on the wall. You had to use the mirror to see what
room to go into, and then go in that room and hit the painting of that character. Then if you do it wrong, it sends you back to the first room. But if you do it right, then you got to run back down, go in the room, switch the mirror, go to the other one. It was kind of annoying.
Yeah, it took me a second to figure out what was going on.
You know? And like getting to the queen fight, I thought was pretty cool. Like, isn't the queen like kind of dead or something on top of the throne at first, or like some kind of weird?
She looks all like withered and decayed.
Yeah, and then when I want to say it's not to the second. Is it after you beat her the first time when she opens her mouth again, and then you see it's Alice's face talking to you?
Yeah,
that was fucked up.
So that first fight, though, did it remind anyone else of a boss fight in Resident Evil 4 by any chance?
It kind of did.
It kind of does, doesn't it? It feels like
I can't Salazar.
Not Sadler. What's the other guy?
Salazar.
Yeah.
I can't remember how he talked. I would do it.
No. You're not talking about the kid. You're talking about
the one that's like Mr. Kennedy.
Yes, him.
Yeah.
That's
Salazar.
Yeah.
And he gets a knife and he's like, I love it.
You stupid American.
That's basically the noise he makes. Look it up. He's great.
Why haven't you guys put that game with the show?
Because it's long. It's so long. It's like 20 hours long.
It's not that long.
It's so long. See, you don't think the game is long, but you haven't played in a while. Every time I play I forget about a whole area that is in it.
I played it not that long ago, actually, before we started this podcast.
Every time I'm in it, I'm like, I forget the caves or I forget how many different areas of the castle there are. Like, you're in that castle for fucking ever.
Yeah, it's longer. Okay, I'm looking it up right now because this is great radio. Okay, that didn't work. So the queen fight was kind of interesting. Like I liked it when she shows her face. I mean, 16 hours long for Resident Evil 4, so doable.
And extras is 20 hours. Yeah. So that means it's 20. And completionist is 29, which means it'll take me and Stefan 29.
Yep.
Because I know for a fact we'll both be doing that fucking target practice.
Yeah. I have completed it on professional though, so I could probably speed through it on easy.
If we played it, I would absolutely get a save and use the typewriter.
Oh yeah, and the Ashley armor.
Yeah. Oh, that Ashley armor changes. So now we have to put it in the show so we can talk about it. Damn it.
So right. Welcome. We're talking about the queen. Like it does. If you have played Resident Evil 4, it's like it's a giant like tentacle sticking out with a creature with her body on it, and she's hitting you with tentacles. There's pillars to hide behind. But I liked it. I didn't have a problem with the fight. I just used the Jabberwocky staff and just hurt her that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very odd. And that's when after you beat her, she opens up her mouth and you see your face and realize the queen is you or something. Like you're the one creating this whole illusion in your own brain type of thing, or creating this nightmare, I should say, not illusion.
She is like the part of your brain that you have compartmentalized and is like your other half, quote unquote.
Which I thought was cool.
I thought it was really cool when I don't know if anybody else made this connection. Stefan probably did. When like I saw that she had tentacles, because throughout the game you keep seeing tentacles everywhere in Wonderland, like sticking out of walls and like going up trees and shit. And I saw that she had tentacles. I was like, oh, she's like directly tied to everything in Wonderland.
Yeah, this is one of those times where you don't trust the fungus.
Yeah. The queen is basically Plant 42, is what I'm saying.
It's that second fight I could have done without. Like that again felt like more padding. I mean, it was simple. Like she jumped into a giant demon form type thing, and you would jump around platforms in a circle.
Yeah, it's like a monstrous head, and inside of it is like the Mad Hatter's head, and inside his mouth is Alice.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, and outside in the monstrous body, it's just like these like morbid obese boobs and tentacles with like a crown on top of it. So it just looks wrong in all the right ways.
It's all the enemies in this are like have great designs to them. And I really want to play the 2011 game to see how they're all updated.
Oh man. They look good.
The entire time playing this, I was like, I would love for like a 2020 game to come out with modern graphics and just see what they could do with some of these character models.
Yeah.
Spooktober's only 6 months away.
You have 10 months, American McGee. Make a game.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I actually think he did already propose, and he is making a prequel to this game called Asylum.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does EA feel about that?
I don't know. Probably not well.
Yeah, it looks like he's crowdfunding it, so they probably aren't happy.
Oh, okay.
Or they're pulling was it? I don't want to throw any company under the bus, but didn't like Sony like start a crowdfunded campaign for a game just to trick people into paying for it? But Sony was the one making the game.
Yes, you're not wrong. I don't remember what it was, but there is something that happened with.
Yeah,
that's nuts. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I can't remember what game it was, but I remember it being like when it was revealed that Sony was the one backing the game, everyone was like, well, you have like billions of fucking dollars. Why the hell are we paying for this?
It was Dio all along. Sorry.
I'm looking it up right now.
Somebody will get that reference.
What's funny is I know I would love, I'm sorry, this is an apology to the entire audience. I know I would love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because I've seen all the fucking memes and GIFs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that season 1 was partially directed and animated by Satoshi Kon, one of my favorite directors of all time, if not my favorite. I just can't get into it. I started watching season 1 and I was just like, this is so slow.
It's one of the most bizarre shows ever. It really is bizarre.
That we were talking about just now was apparently called Koov, Koov, blurs the line between learning and playing. Didn't make it very far.
Koov?
Yeah. At least that's what Google showed me.
V or B?
V as in
V for Vendetta.
Sure. I thought of something else, but I'm like, I don't want to say that.
See, you say that. I think it was Shenmue 3 was like the big one that they got in trouble for. I don't even know if they got in trouble. I think they just did it. And
yeah, you're right. That did come up too when I was searching things. All right. So it was Alice, like after you finish the final boss, I didn't see this ending, but I saw it in screenshots as we've been talking. I've been looking things up. Apparently she wakes up and ends up leaving the asylum at the end of this game with a rep. Which I also didn't really trust at that point. Well, also after you beat the queen, you see everything become more normal. Like the grass is green again. Nothing looks like we're coming out of a nightmare anymore.
It's the Majora's Mask ending.
Okay.
Yeah, everything like turns good and all the characters are there.
That reminds me. 2 episodes ago, or last episode we did Last Express, we couldn't remember other games with a time clock. A guy had messaged me, Adam Bradbury, a listener to the show, and he was like, Dead Rising, Majora's Mask. I'm like, how the fuck did we not think of Majora's Mask when we played it on the damn show? I was like,
Majora's Mask is like you can rewind back to the first day whenever you want. So I don't know. I guess you could do that in Last Express too. Actually, I guess Majora's Mask is a really good comparison. I've got no.
Dead Rising that has a clock that never stops, and you cannot rewind that clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. If only you could do that in real life.
Good examples. I can't argue with you on
game.
that.
I wanted to mention that because he said that. I'm like, wow, you are right. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? What can we think of those games? Okay. But like, yeah, you watch everything in the world become normal, and I thought that was really cool. Like, she kind of like dealing with her trauma and starting to be better. I really like that as you see her brain healing from what happened, and it really striked something with me.
See, yeah, I didn't trust it. I was like,
you're probably not wrong.
The game is it's such a happy ending where I was like, this is a trick. It's just not.
There's a sequel.
Play it later. So I guess
I won't say what happens, but basically she does get well and she does get a job with the Wayward Youth in London, but it doesn't go as well as she planned. Is basically yeah. So it's you're kind of right in a way, Steve.
Okay. And for there is a reason why this game is not really the first one isn't on PC, right? Like, did EA have a falling out with American McGee or something? Anybody know?
I think EA's had a falling out with everybody they've ever worked with.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just ask this list of companies that no longer works with EA or is shut down by EA.
I know when I was looking for it, I found out that it used to be downloadable when you bought the second Alice game, Madness Returns on Steam, not Steam, on EA's terrible thing Origin. You could download the first one, and at some point they just got rid of it.
Yeah, they delisted it, and I think you could still get it though with the PS3 copy.
And you have that only on PS3 or 360, or the way that I'm pretty sure all four of us played it. But,
yeah.
Which,
the legal way.
If you're interested in playing this game on PC, all I will say is Google. You'll figure out the rest. I'm not helping you.
Yay.
I will not say things on record like that, but I will say Google it. No. You'll figure it out.
It's quite difficult to find this game. So, as I've said in the past, if I am typically against piracy, but if a game company is making it actively difficult to buy something, they need to expect that to happen. The easier you make something to buy, the more people that will actively choose to buy it over doing anything.
I bought this game on PS3 at GameStop. I bought a 360 copy years ago when it came out, so I didn't feel guilty. I'm like, I just want to play on my PC because I like my PC better. So it was just that's all.
And I own this game back in 2000. So again, it's just I don't know where the CD-ROMs are for it, but I have paid for this game before.
Yeah,
so,
there's really
ho.
There's really no excuse why there can't be a digital copy of this game to download right now and buy.
If there was a Steam or like a GOG version, I would have.
And there should be
there's a GOG version and a mobile version of Last Express, a game that came out in 1997 and only I care about. Like, come on.
There's a few more than you. When I posted it, and that one had a over 100 downloads so far. People care about Last Express. Like, there were people like, I love that game. I was too. I'm like
surprised that there was a good following.
But there are so many 30-something mall goths running around right now who would spend upwards of tens of dollars to re-download this game. I mean, EA is just leaving money on the table.
Have tons of comments and memories to read about that. We're about to get into that.
All right.
I have a question that Stefan might be able to answer. Do you know what the symbols on Alice's dress mean? Because I was thinking about her character design. I was looking up images of it. She's got that she's got the Alice in Wonderland dress, but just covered in blood. And she has two. I don't know if they're Greek symbols. I don't think they're Greek.
They're not. I was told what they were when I played the game the first time, but I don't remember.
They're not Hebrew.
No, there's I forget. There's some sort of symbolism. They represent something. I've
seen it before, but I can never remember what they mean.
I think it's more indicative of or closer to tarot cards. It's something having to do with that. Yeah.
See if I can't find some information on it.
Okay, while you're looking at two things I want to say. One, if you're looking for a copy of this game on PC, just to kind of show how stupid it is, to buy it on eBay is $100 for a used copy now. I mean,
yeah,
that's why Google.
Yeah, EA make stuff easy to buy and people will buy it.
Like I paid $20 or $25 for a PS3 copy, and I got lucky. Like now, especially with GameStop, rest in peace, GameStop, where it's headed. It's hard to track down something like that. It's coming. Unfortunately, I won't be happy about it, but it's coming. I'm pretty sure.
It'll definitely. Okay, one of the symbols means magus or magus or magus, depending on how you say it.
So she's a Chrono Trigger fan. You're telling me?
Yes. And the other one symbolizes the devil, I think.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
And then she has like the Omega symbol around her neck as well.
Yeah.
Right?
So she's a Xenogears fan too.
So like the end of things or something. I don't know.
Nobody got that reference, but some people.
No, I did that.
Okay.
Went right over my head.
Omega is so the term is so misunderstood. I love it.
Xenogears
like, what? I mean, tell me.
Who are like just it comes from like the Greek word and like biblically where it's like I am Alpha and Omega and everyone's like, oh, Omega must be like the best ever. It's like, no, it's literally the last. It's just it's like putting a Z.
That's what I thought. Like at the end, right? It's just the last letter. So
I am Alpha and Omega is literally the same thing as saying I am the A and the Z.
Yeah.
Or the snail, or what is it? The walrus and the Beatles song.
The Eggman. I am the
Eggman,
walrus.
yeah.
Kachub. Is that what you're? Yeah.
His name is Robotnik. Get it right.
All right. Should move on to questions, comments, or memories. I don't know why I even say questions anymore. There are never any questions. They're just comments and memories. Okay. First, I'm going to give a couple from the Overblooded group. I'm going to blow through a couple of these quickly. We got a bunch from the Alice group that are pretty good. But I want to mention some of these. From Neil Hackle, it's such a great and bizarre game. The aesthetics alone make it worth a play. I agree. Mm-hmm. From Samantha Arculetia, I butchered it. Has a great soundtrack. Yeah. I don't know if I can't pronounce names. That's part.
Mike has never said a single name right on this show. He called Stefan Steven for like 10 episodes.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I've known him for years at this point online, and I
thought it was an inside joke.
Nope.
I just assumed it was a joke.
I'm surprised it's not. You didn't call me Stefan for so long.
And from Zach. How was the aiming and platforming while you played? When I played it, the reticle seemed super sensitive while aiming, and it seemed too easy to mess up jumps. I did have fun last time I played it, but have not beat it. I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty tight.
It's a learning curve.
It was a little tricky for me, but I felt like I figured it out like within, I don't know, minutes.
Yeah, like Alice actually jumping, you can see in front of her like these very like vague feet, so it shows you where she's gonna land.
Footsteps.
Yeah. It took me a little while to get the hang of that, but I mean, I didn't have a terrible time with it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it at first, but it didn't take too long, and I got the hang of it. Yeah. This one from Christopher Kovacs, I only played the second. Yes,
just to say, I think it comes down to like a big part of it is whether or not you played games like Doom or Quake back in the day, because those games did have very sensitive aiming mechanics, and that's kind of something that wasn't changed until like Halo, where they're like, oh, we can add like friction on our aiming and slow it down and make it feel a lot more smooth. Whereas back in the day, it was like you hit left and you turn like 90 degrees left. It's just something you got to get used to.
Yeah. I don't know. It didn't take me too long. Like even the platforming does get pretty exact with the fact that I could quick save, or at least my hit escape, go back. Like it worked for me, so I wasn't angry. Now if it wouldn't have had that, I would not be okay with it, but it did. So, and I had called this a horror game, and Julian Costa had replied, said, I never thought of it as a horror game. Just an edgier, stylish Alice in a Wonderland game, very 2000, using the Quake 3 engine. It was cool to use a different weapon. This is 100% a horror game. I mean, there's fucking blood on the walls, and come on, guys.
I think it has horror elements.
Yeah. There's aspects of horror in it, but I wouldn't say it's sitting there trying to scare you in any way.
It scared me. It scared Stu apparently too.
I was creepy.
Would you call like Doom a horror game?
Yeah.
Because I would think of Doom as more like an action game with horror themes to it, which is what I would put this game with.
It's hard to like horror as a genre is so broad.
anything.
Yeah.
I consider anything horror that has this type of aesthetic. It doesn't have to be scary. It just has to be very depressing, very bloody, very where you don't stuff like that. And I consider it horror.
I think by definition it is horror, but the problem with horror is that it's such a broad category where like I'll watch something like for instance like Scream is a horror movie, but Scream is also like I would argue Scream is a comedy more than a horror movie. A lot for like the later sequels of a lot of slasher movies I think are more horror than or more comedy than horror.
Or like Return of the Living Dead, like that's straight up.
Okay, yeah.
No, that is a cheesy, campy
comedy. It's like a comedy, but it's also horror.
With like naked punk chicks up on the gravestones and stuff. Yeah, it's
trash.
But then also
dancing again, guys.
All right.
They have like Haunting on Hill House,
and to
finish, like genuinely unnerving.
Okay, to finish what I didn't say earlier from Kovacs, he said, I'm only played the second through, sadly. I'm a fan despite some flaws. Definitely play this one. I mean, and message me and I'll tell you how, but I ain't saying it out here. So, and from Buddy Acker, he said, one of my favorite games. I understand why. Like, I completely can understand why.
Mm-hmm.
And I also posted this in the Laser Time group. Unfortunately, I only got one comment, even though I said I had the Cajun Crippler with me. Only one person.
Yeah, right.
Get on it, Laser Time. Come at us.
I know. I'm ready.
Sometimes I think I get a lot of questions, but I got this from Ross O'Brien. Said I never played it, but I always used to look over and be creeped out by the box art and description in the shop. Okay,
which I've actually heard that from a lot of people. Is they looked at that box art for so long, and so many people just seem to be like enamored with it. Like even people that have never played it can picture that box art in their head from like Walmart or Circuit City
cool
or something. Yeah, I love it.
Box art. I was considering trying to find a poster of it.
Yeah, but like when you think of this game, you can see that image in your head instantly of like her like holding the knife. You know, it's great.
So I don't know if anyone remembers this, but back in the day at a place called Blockbuster, it's where you used to go and rent movies.
It was a Captain Marvel movie. I remember that.
Yeah, you would. They would have these. Yeah, they would have these like posters there, but they were like made of wood. So it would be like the poster printed over the wood, and it would just be actual paint on it, and they would sell them for like $25. And I actually grabbed one, and it was the cover of this game.
We had a friend that worked at Regal, and anyone who's ever had a friend that worked in a movie theater, you know that once they are done with the movie, they just kind of give away the poster to whoever's working there. It's one of the biggest benefits to working in a movie theater. So she would just
I have several posters for that thing. For that very reason from back in the day. I have Fury Road, all kinds of other stuff.
I don't know if they still do that. I feel like they have stopped doing that, but they definitely should keep doing it if they aren't. But yeah, I had a friend who was like she'd give out the movie posters, but everybody there would take like the best movie posters, and the only ones that I had to pick from would be like, do you want like this rom-com that no one watched? I think I
you didn't want to take
Friends poster somewhere.
And Dupree or
if you had a Serendipity, I'd be all for that. That's a great romantic comedy.
I could imagine you sitting there, Stu, and like one of them's like a horrible rom-com, and the other one's like the third Resident Evil movie, and you're just like, I'll take this rom-com one.
Literally,
I'll take Sweet Home Alabama. Thank you very much.
Well, that was a good movie. Serendipity's better though.
I think
Serendipity, but I just love Kate Beckinsale, so I can't help it.
There was a year where it was like
she's an national treasure. Yes.
There was a year where it was like you can pick between like. I think it was 2013. It was like, okay, do you want like Man of Steel or 12 Years a Slave? And I was like, I don't really want either of those movie posters. I think having either one of those on my wall would say two very different things about me.
Yeah. All right, I got one question to read from a classic gaming Windows group from Steve Young. He said, I remember buying this game back in the summer of 2005. Was a pain to get working on Win2K Pro. I don't know what that is, and taught me how to use a compatibility mode wizard built into modern version of Windows and how said OSES, I don't know what that is, and the Macromedia safe disk copy protection don't get along very well. I have no idea what any of those things are. But I'm not a PC guy, so
those are certainly some words.
Yeah, that's it's an old sentence for
that's partly why I read it.
It's a very 2000 sentence.
Well, for those that don't know,
right well next to Blockbuster Video, I think.
I wasn't. I never really played.
Mike was Windows 2000. That's all that means.
I didn't play a lot of PC games as a kid. Like one of my first good PC, one of the things I did on my e-machines back in like 2002 was put Super Nintendo ROMs on it. Like that was my big thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I remember that. And playing Suikoden. I played Suikoden 2 on a PS1 emulator, and it took me because I didn't want to buy a copy for $100 at the time, and then I could never get to work again after I played Suikoden 2.
Yeah, I kind of wish you didn't play any PS1 games, Mike. What you're making us play next week.
We'll talk about that later. You have no idea what you're in for yet.
Oh,
you deserve. You guys both deserve it.
Yeah, we do. I'll agree to that.
And now I'm in the Alice groups. Like I'm not gonna be able to read all these, unfortunately, because I got a bunch of comments, but I definitely got to read a few because there's some really good memories that people had put here. First one from Geoffrey Landry said, "I have way too much to say on how it shaped my personality and imagination. I would take hours to explain. Like this game probably means a lot to a lot of people, and I didn't realize that."
Yeah,
I mean, just didn't. From Chelsea,
as I was saying, lots and lots of 30-year-old Molgoths.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
got
nothing.
A couple in here.
Yeah, awesome.
From Chelsea. The one thing I gotta say is, why are old games so difficult? I 100% agree. I love old games, but I love save states. I have never beat Mario 1, never will. Never beat Mario 3, never will. Not legitimately, at least.
Man, those are tough games. I've beaten both of them, and they're tough.
Mario 2 was a fucking bitch when I tried to go through it. I said, "Oh, I'm done. Save states." This one from Cammy. We'll say Cammy F. I was 5 years old when Alice came out. My father does shift work at our pulp mill, so many nights he's up late in sleep for the next night shift. Having anxiety disorder induced insomnia, I would sneak downstairs to watch him. This was one of my first gaming memories. I fell in love. It's been almost 20 years, and playing the game still excites me like it did as a child.
Mm-hmm. I feel like people would talk about this game more if they could buy it. Honestly, I think that's what's holding it back from being talked about more.
It's definitely holding it back. This is a series that I think like could come back really hard, especially now.
Yeah,
it's just impossible to get your hands on it,
which is really too bad. And this is a line,
guys. We shouldn't be so hard on EA. They really need to focus on getting Anthem, a game that came out 3 years ago, to work right.
Well, no, there's a reason for that. But from Jason Drotsky, he just put a line from the game. Says, "Alice, you've grown, mangy cat, and you picked up quite a bit of an attitude." That's one of the quotes I forgot about.
We didn't even mention that the Cheshire Cat dies somehow. I think the queen kills him and his head explodes. Yeah,
at the very end, a spike falls and cuts his head off.
Mm-hmm. So that's a thing.
Holy shit! Sorry, I'm looking up like images of Alice, and I've seen this fucking Martin J. Abel art for this game like 1,000 times, and I never knew what game it was from. I finally put the pieces together.
And this one cracked me up. Victor Cox, who's a overbloody who I'm friends with, he commented on it here in this Alice group, and he's like, "Just started to replay this too. My dad got it for me when it first came out, and has fueled a lot of my love for Alice and Wonderland as a whole. So much so that I'm working on a full 4-arm sleeve based on McGee's Alice." And I'm just like, I love when I run into people I know from Overblood and all the random Facebook groups I travel in to spread the word of games I'm on. So
that's pretty cool, though.
It cracked me up.
I can't believe I didn't know that. I can't believe I didn't find this beforehand. The fucking Martin J. Abel art. He does some comic books and things. People should look him up. He's a very good illustrator.
Okay, I'm going to read a few more of these. From Kelly Jones, and I played them in the wrong order. "I asked my dad to buy the original when I was a kid, but his reply was, 'She's covered in blood.' No, mine was, 'That's why I want it.'" Again, go what Cody said. Probably,
Yes, absolutely.
It's one of the few cases where usually if you see somebody like covered in blood, you're like, this is probably like honestly probably fine for kids because it's just like an edgy cover. This is one of the ones where it's like she's covered in blood and also all the mental trauma.
All right,
psychologically damaging.
I want to read. This person had to send it to me in Messenger because they didn't type it in there, but I want to read this from Atanya. Said, "My boyfriend was very concerned about my Alice gameplay. He'd find me peering around the edge of a monitor trying to get a better view. I played for hours at a time, anytime I had free time. He was sitting at his computer near me one night as I was making my way through a mushroom forest. I was completely in the game at this point. Alice ran down a hill and under a big mushroom, which promptly folded inwards and ate my Alice. I screamed like I'd been injured myself and flailed at the keyboard trying to free her. I took a ton of damage and finally freed Alice. When I looked over towards my boyfriend, he was purple from holding back his laughter. He still tells people about the one game I really got into.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. Like, we didn't talk about it, but I fucking hated those mushrooms so much.
The toadstools.
Yes.
Yeah, they.
And the sound Alice makes when she dies is terrifying. I don't know if that bothered anybody else.
Yeah.
It sounds like
It's so strange because
yeah.
the rest of the game, all the sound design is like really it's not grounded, but it makes sense within the game. It's grounded to the game world. For whatever reason, Alice's screams are real screams.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
great work by the VO artist, but yeah, it's just
that's fucking
it's chilling.
It just left me with questions where I don't know if that was intentional or not. I don't know if they said like scream like you mean it, and it'll be the one thing in this game that isn't really like fantasy. Like that's a real fucking scream.
Yeah.
I have 3 left to read, and we'll wrap up this part. From Rowan Gold, I don't know, I butchered this name. When the game first came out, I played the demo on Netscape because that was the only internet browser my Mac would recognize for that website.
Wow, it's talking about fucking old stuff.
Yeah, I know, that's why I had to read it. Then I finally found the game at the mall and was entertained that disc said disc 2 as there was no disc 1. I assumed the PC version had 2 discs. I adored the little book of the psychologist notes that came with it and completely fell in love with the art. Got the soundtrack, became obsessed with that too. That's just funny. Plus the Netscape thing cracked me up because some people don't know what Netscape is.
Okay, you knew Netscape, but you didn't know Windows 2000.
I also knew, God, what the hell was the free one at the time? Well, I remember some free one. I can't remember the name, and it was terrible, and then it was free, and then it wasn't free anymore.
It wasn't. Netscape was Mozilla. Oh God.
I remember AOL. I had AOL when I was a kid.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Netscape got bought by AOL eventually. That's how it went under.
AOL's not even around anymore.
People
still have AOL emails. Every so often in my job, I'll ask people's emails, and I'll get an AOL email. I'm like, wow, you've had this a long time, haven't you?
AOL is still technically around.
Yeah, but
they're owned by
going
Verizon.
to it anymore.
Well, no, because they're owned by Verizon.
All right.
They got bought by Verizon.
One.
I remember this fact. They got bought by Verizon for $4 billion, which is insane because there was a point where AOL was probably worth like upwards of like $50 billion.
Is the one you're thinking about, Mike, called CompuServe? Was that it?
Oh God,
I can't remember.
Oh,
I thought it was like Zero or something. It was something free where they made you watch a commercial before it would connect to the internet.
I
can't remember. Rich would know. He's been on this show because that's what he had. That's why I remember it. All right, that doesn't matter. From Rachel Garza, said, I played it when it originally released in 2000. I still played at least yearly since then, and Madness Returns as well when that popped up. Even managed to win the Dark Horse fan art contest in a tie back right before the second game count in 2011.
It was
a lot
Prodigy,
of people
was it?
love this game. I can't remember.
Okay.
And last
I'm
thing,
just gonna be remembering all these terrible internet providers we all had.
I'll try to find. I'll text Rich after this because he won't respond right now. From Maddie Rose,
there's GeoCity.
No, it wasn't that. She said, I was 4 when American McGee's Alice came out. I remember trying to watch Little Bear in the morning, and then it would switch to Nickelodeon at 8 a.m., and all of a sudden the Alice commercial would come out and fascinate me. I really should not be on Nickelodeon. I remember going to preschool and talking to my friends about, did you see the scary Alice commercial on the TV? I also remember swearing to one of my friends in preschool that we would never play it because it's scary. 20 years later, now I'm a cosplayer and moderator in this group. And if she does listen to it, that's a really cool cosplay, as I said before in your comment too.
Oh wow!
But I thought that was
went
cool.
hard back in the day.
A lot like this game really, like as Cody said, I'll say it again, like it affected people.
Yes.
Although I'm gonna fucking say it, fucking nobody hit harder than Cartoon Network. We all thought Cartoon Network was a joke when we were kids, but they do more creative shit than any other fucking channel.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Adventure Time would have never been able to air on any other channel. A show about how nothing matters and nihilism is great. And
All right, I
don't
think we
worry
should
about
move on
anything
to.
because we're all going to die one day.
I think we should move on to Shelf for Bob.
Okay.
Okay. I'll go first. Yeah, I'm sure it'll come up. This actually surprised me because when we first picked this, I also was trying to get this off the show originally. I'm like, we can't play this. I can't buy it on Steam. I can't buy it on Origin. I'm like, we don't have PS3s. And Stefan's like, we can get it on PC. I have a copy. I'll send it to you. And finally, I'm like, okay, we'll play the damn game. And I really got I am so happy this was on the show that I was able to finally check off something that has been on my backlog on my list to play for well over a decade. Someday I'm going to play Alice. Someday I'm going to play Alice. I had the opportunity for a while because I bought Madness Returns back when it maybe a couple years after it came out, and I just never got around to it, and probably never would have because I don't really play PC games until this show. And I was just fascinated by it. Like it was not too long for the most part. I enjoyed it. It was so weird and creepy.
Why did you enjoy this game? It wasn't too long.
Hey, what can I say? I like short games. I honestly do. But that's called being an adult, I think. But it was a really good game, and I'm so glad he picked it, and it's going on the shelf. And will I ever play it again? No, probably not. But I will definitely recommend it to people, and people that aren't on the internet, I will tell them where to find it.
Well, I'm glad I picked a game you liked, Mike.
You did. Are you ready to go next, Stefan? Or not Stefan?
Yeah.
What was it? Stefan?
Stuffin.
Stuffin. Start calling him Stuffin.
DJ Stuffin.
Stuffin JD.
Yes.
DJ Nefuts.
My real friends call me RoboCop, though. No, yeah, I love this game.
I'm gonna call you Officer Murphy.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I love this game. Not just because it introduced me to the concept of free porn, but it's genuinely, I think it respects the case of mental illness a lot. Like it's not trying to make fun of it in any way.
No.
It's being very nice and bold about it, and it's kind of it's a little bit darker, but it's kind of sticking to the actual concept of even Alice in Wonderland. So I think it's great for that reason. Alice is not, and this is going back to the year 2000, she's not over-sexualized in any way. She's, she in fact looks cute. She doesn't have like big boobs like Lara Croft around the time. She's just... She's a female-led game where she doesn't have to look sexy. So I appreciate that about her as well. And the art style, oh my God, I would love this game just for the art style alone. So that it's going on my shelf basically. But yeah, I would recommend to everybody, like Mike said, Google's your friend, play this game.
God, I want to say a word, but I'm not willing to. So I did tell somebody, and as a joke to our buddy Emmanuel, who's been on this show, I was talking to his friend, and we both agreed this game would be too scary for him. If he listens to this, he's not going to appreciate that joke, but he knows it. So, how about you, Cody?
Absolutely. This game is very, very, very good. No, but like not. Yeah, I was kind of wanting to. And let it drop there, but no, this game, anybody that knows sort of my preferences for video games knows that I am a very big fan of early polygons. So like PS1 era, N64, all the way. Love that kind of style, which I know a lot of people hate because it looks still very chunky and clunky, and it just hasn't aged well. But this, to me, going back and revisiting this for the first time in probably 18 years, the art style on this has aged so much better than anything from that era, and I love that era. So much like you were saying, the art style alone is worth the price of buying in, although not worth like $100, but the price of Googling it. Maybe. Yes. But yeah, so not only would I put this on the shelf, I'm actually going to look for the poster of this because I would love to have this like hanging up in my office here because just that box art is just gorgeous.
It's awesome. I agree.
I mean,
I love
if you could this game needs to be available on Steam or EA for like $10 and it'd be perfect. Like that's what
make it happen.
Yeah, make it
Code's
happen.
just sitting there. I don't need like a remaster or an upres or anything. It looks great just the way it is. Put it out. Just put it out. Just the way it is. Make it to where it's easy to run on current Windows and just make you money.
The copy I had, I made it to run on Windows just fine. So it's not like I didn't have to do anything trickery like you do if you're trying to run Command and Conquer.
Yeah, I didn't really have any issue.
Every game just needs like the Master Chief Collection treatment, where it's like,
where they don't release it all.
Well, yeah. If you're on PC, you're just fucked. But fucking release the game already. I'm waiting. I want to play Halo 2.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So Halo's supposed to happen on the show at some point.
We'll see.
But it might not be. So if Halo doesn't come out when we get to the episode, Stuart said we're gonna play Conker's Bad Fur Day, his favorite game ever instead. So
I'll quit. I'll quit the show. I will quit the show.
The only way we're ever playing Conkers is if we do a Patreon and we raise enough money to convince you to play it.
Yeah, we're not even raising it like for charity or for the show. You have to directly give me the fucking money. I'm not even like pretend. Like you have to pay me to play that game. I'm so forgiving and I fucking hate those games. But yeah,
so Stu, how about you?
I don't remember. I'm just angry now.
I know.
But no, I was gonna say it needs that like the Master Chief Collection treatment where it comes out and you can choose if you want like the upscaled graphics or the original graphics in there.
Like one flick of a button.
Yeah. Yeah, like you can play Halo 2 in the classic mode or play Halo 2 up-resed, and I think it looks fantastic, but it's fun to go back and play that old style too, where Master Chief is made of exactly 3 squares. Personally, though, for this, I'm absolutely throwing this game on my shelf. No surprise there. That's
I told you.
We have this ongoing joke now. If a game is weird enough, it automatically goes on my shelf, and this game is weird enough. It's got first of all, I love the like Alice in Wonderland story. I love when that shows up as like reference in movies and games and stuff. Like the first Resident Evil movie is based entirely on Alice in Wonderland, and it's great. Main character's name is Alice because of Alice in Wonderland. Sequel's not so great, but the first movie, solid movie.
Great. How can you say the second movie is really good?
The second movie is they do something really impressive where every subsequent movie is exactly 50% as good as the original movie. It's like you could build like scientific models off their decline.
Someday I'm gonna rewatch this and do it on the show, with or without you guys. I'm doing it.
It's like the Kipf theorem like formula where it's just slowly degrading. It's you could measure like the disorder of the universe. Based off that,
I should have did that.
Like a quality fractal where it just keeps bending in on itself infinitely.
It's
at exactly the same amounts. Like
it's pure entropy. It's great.
So you were saying about Alice?
I love Alice in Wonderland as a story. I love when that shows up, and I like when games can take something and kind of turn it on its head and do something really interesting with a certain story. And this game, like it's fantastic. It has the Alice in Wonderland aspect in there. It plays around with it and turns it into like an actual good mental, like psychological game. Where I mean, personally, like I said, I was asking questions throughout the whole game. I didn't know if it was actually in her head or if this was some like magic stuff going on. Or at the end, I was like, I didn't feel I felt happy about the ending, but I also didn't trust it completely. Mm-hmm. Which is a good thing, I think. I don't like ambiguity for ambiguity's sake, but if you have ambiguity because you don't trust the movie anymore, I think that tends to work out really well, or the game.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun playing this. I hate platformers, not because I think they're bad, but because I'm bad at them. But I didn't have too much trouble with this. Maybe because I played so much Doom back in the day.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I actually thought, like, up until you said you're putting it on your shelf, I was like, he's gonna say something about the platforming. He's gonna hate this game. He's not gonna put it on the shelf.
So when are we doing Banjo-Tooie?
I suck at platformers. I have always sucked at platformers. This game, it plays more like Quake than a typical platformer, so I could do it. That's the only reason.
That's true.
It's in the Quake. If you set Mario in the Quake engine, I'd be a fucking pro.
What were you gonna say, Cody?
Oh, I was saying if y'all ever do Banjo-Tooie, which I know that you're not, I would be 100% there for
Oh,
it.
feel free to take my spot, please.
I'm a Banjo-Tooie apologist, and I always will be.
Okay.
Fun fact, I'm going to be
so.
sick that weekend, so.
I mean, we only did Kazooie because of DJ, who's unfortunately no longer on the show, who picked it. And I'm like, okay, we're probably going to do Tooie someday. But then he left at episode 15, so we're just like, yeah, fuck that game. We're never doing it.
I went to GalaxyCon in Richmond, and I was walking by food.
Do you want the hottest of takes that has ever been put on this show based on one of the older ones that y'all have done?
Sure.
I love Fallout 1.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh wow.
I had to defend that game to the death with everybody.
That's me and DJ, the two worst people to have just only with you.
Yeah, that's right.
It was Stefan was
But
I can't remember the joke.
Crucified that game.
If I had made that episode, I would have been there defending it with Stu. I would carry that banner.
I had that whole episode. I was like, "Look, it's not for everybody, but hey, you should try it." I was like in such a corner that episode.
But it also didn't help. We just played Golden Sun, then we played Fallout, which was not me knowing what the fuck I was doing with scheduling, and we got. Yeah, it's a rough. We're lucky this show made it.
So glad you can be on any episode.
It got dragged so hard. That was like what episode 3 or something, right?
6.
It was very
dude.
early.
It was really
no, we did DuckTales, then we did Fallout. Yeah, Golden Sun, DuckTales, Fallout.
It's episode 3 of us knowing what we were doing.
Yeah,
it was bad.
Well, we haven't done Fallout 2 yet, so if Cody, you want to come back?
Yeah, no, I would love to.
Tell you what, Mike, if we can do Banjo-Tooie, but I
don't want to do Banjo-Tooie.
I'm sorry, we can do Conker's Bad Fur Day, but the week before we have to do Fallout 2.
I will do Fallout 2 if you want to. Something.
Yeah, I would
play it,
and I would totally come back for Fallout 2. I know way too much lore about that. Tons of secrets.
The week before we'll do Fallout 2. The week after we'll do PT.
What's PT?
PT
we can't play it though.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way you could play PT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing that you could do.
Yeah,
I thought it wasn't okay.
There are supposedly. I have to look it up, but there are ways that people have saved it.
Well, yeah. Well, and if you just have a friend with it, you can still find it.
Or tell you what, we'll play Outlast. We'll do Outlast. If you can get through all of Outlast, I will play Conker's Bad Fur Day.
And I was saying to Mike, I was saying to Mike like last year, if you really want to make the best use of me, get me on either Zoo Tycoon or like one of the really bad Cabela's like hunting games. They get everything wrong, and I love it. Dude, they are so funny.
I thought it'd be funny to do an episode where we got one of those. Do you remember? I don't know if it was Cabela's exactly. But they had those
Cabela games have like an action dark story to them. I actually bought one for 360 and never got around to playing it, but they do.
I thought it'd be really funny if you got one of those. Do you guys remember those Buck Hunter like 2D games that were you got the toy gun?
Yeah,
I seriously thought about finding a way to like get everybody one of those for the show.
Actually, didn't one of those come out on the Wii? I want to say. And they had a paraphernalia for it?
Yeah. Peripheral.
Peripheral. I'm sorry. I'm tired.
Someone's been smoking a little too much there.
No, I'm tired.
Some Buck Hunter paraphernalia. It came out for the Wii, and you had to put the like Wiimote in the gun.
Huh.
Yeah, that was absolutely a thing.
Fun.
Yeah, he's not wrong. I sold them when I worked at Target.
Yeah, it was the coolest peripheral ever, and they only used it for like Buck Hunter. It's like, how is this not in like a goddamn shooter?
There's a really cool Link's crossbow training game that used the Wii Zapper, and Umbrella Chronicle I used the Wii Zapper for.
That's right.
Yeah, but the Cabela's one had it specifically had like a double-barreled shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
It was so over the top.
Oh. And before we introduce what we're playing next week, I think we should do a whale fact since we have someone that has a whale fact.
The game's on my shelf, by the way. I don't think I ever finished it.
I did not.
You did.
Oh, okay.
Just to wrap up, the game's great, the art style's great, the music's great. Just everything Stefan said, I agree with.
Yay.
The art style's so fantastic.
That's never happened before. You and Stefan agree? What?
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's actually rare that all of us agree.
Yeah,
So-
that is weird.
That is pretty rare. Even if 3 people agree, usually some one person is holding out.
Me.
Sometimes it's me. Sometimes
Yeah.
Sometimes everybody hates the game, and I'm the only one that's like, hey, it's going on my shelf.
That's true. That's happened.
Yeah, it's happened a number of times. I'm so forgiving.
So what were you, Cody? You were gonna say the whale fact?
Yeah.
Yes, whale facts.
Or random animal.
You want to do it?
No. Specifically whale facts, because this
Okay.
one is. Do y'all have like some like lead up to
We
it?
used to. Whale.
God,
What do we have here?
Yeah, where's my fucking
You
paper?
son of a beach.
I actually
can't
have
remember.
it next to me still.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it was whale. What do we have here? I'll see you and show you, son of a beach.
That's what it was.
Lovely.
Okay,
Lovely.
you're all good.
So, do you know what the
And
largest?
for all intents and purposes, that was the other one.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes.
a long time.
I'll see you and show you, son of a beach.
Okay. Do you know what the largest land predator that has ever lived is? Like of all time. The largest no. I'm sorry, just the largest predator that has ever lived on the face of the earth at any time.
My gut is saying, oh God. My gut is saying like a megalodon, but I know that's not correct.
Bigger than a megalodon, bigger than a mosasaurus. The largest predator that has ever lived is
Wait,
the
hold on,
sperm whale.
Okay.
It's still with us. It's still out there right now, and there's
It's
a
out there.
bunch of them. It's out there, like swimming around as we podcast right now. Bigger than the megalodon. You know, they make movies about all of this. Sperm whales are still around, and they are huge. They are massive. Okay, they are the largest predator currently on the earth, and the largest predator that has ever lived. Now, their diet consists of the second largest predator currently on the earth, which are giant and a colossal squid. So that is intense. That's like polar bears only eating lions. That's how crazy that is. Okay. So there are about 350,000 sperm whales in the ocean right now, and they only eat these giant squids. Now, in order for a sperm whale to stay alive, they have to like those 350,000 whales have to eat about 250,000 squid every single day.
Damn.
So what's going to blow your mind is at any given moment in human history, right now as we are speaking, there are 175 underwater battles going on right now between the largest predator and the second largest predator, and that's happening every single minute.
That's metal
So
as
since this
fuck.
podcast started, there have been 21,000 sperm whales fighting giant squid.
That's fucking metal.
That is metal as fuck,
Nature
isn't
rocks.
it? And it's insane, and it's like just done by like simple math, and like nobody talks about it. I always talk about it. I'm always thinking about this. I'm like, I wonder how many squid are fighting right now. Yeah,
I wish I
and
could
that
speak
is
in images just so I could have that Nathan explosion picture. It's just like brutal.
I know what you're talking about. Okay,
exactly.
that was cool. That was a good whale fact.
Hell-
we haven't had one in a long
Hell of
time.
whales.
That actually kind of gave me chills, to be honest, Cody. Thank
Were they
you.
electrifying?
Thank you very much. Well, the deep voice, I think, helped bring it
I was trying to
as well.
justify
Sort
in
of
my
like
head
a ghost story.
Yes.
because a sperm whale is the largest, but I think there's a jellyfish that's like the
Oh yeah,
longest,
longer. Yeah, longer.
but like longer by
lions
it's like miles long.
Yeah, but they're like a foot and a half wide, so it's not.
Yeah. So I always wonder about that though, because they're a foot and a half wide, but some of them,
Yeah.
I think like the longest one ever discovered was like, it was something ridiculous. It was like several miles long.
Oh
Now
yeah,
it-
they're insane. But
I always
that's
wonder if they have
usually
more mass than a
figured by that's just done by pure mass.
Yeah.
So it's heft, weight, length, all that, just pure mass of the animal itself. And jellyfish, I mean, it's kind of hard because they don't really think. They sort of think, but they don't really think. And they're made up of several different animals, which a lot of people don't know. Is there separate systems that make up just the jellyfish itself? So like man-o-wars, that little floaty part is one different animal, and then the tentacles are something else. Fascinating systems. But
they're like fungi. So they're the fungi of the ocean.
Yeah. Perfect. So it's kind of hard to say, is that one type of animal? Because some folks say it is, or most folks say it is, but some folks say it isn't. And then if it's a predator, what's really doing the thinking to feed everything else? So that's kind of a tricky type of thing to figure out as well. Like, or is like a blue whale a predator, even though it only opens its mouth and like krill just go in there? He's not really hunting krill. He just swims through his food, even though the krill are little tiny shrimp. So a sperm whale is absolutely a predator because it hunts things down. It chases down giant squids and just murders the fuck out of them.
Hey, actually, the last couple of years, we actually discovered that we have our own little jellyfish. We have these sea nettle jellyfish, and someone discovered that like sea nettle jellyfish are all over, but the ones in the Chesapeake Bay are like a distinct species they found out. So there's no Chesapeake Bay sea nettle jellyfish that is all ours.
Nice.
Aren't you lucky?
That's a nice little claim to fame.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but this reminded me of that South Park joke with the guy. He's like, see that whale over there? I'm gonna go stick my thumb up its butthole.
Oh yeah.
I've pretty much based my entire career around that one sentence.
Oh, yeah.
There are many pictures of me like palpating cows with like where I'm up to my shoulder, like in a butt.
And may I recommend to all the children listening to this podcast, here's a fun game for you that my cousin and I used to play. You go to the beach and you find those little jellyfish, and if you pick them up by the top, they won't sting you, which means you can pick them up from the top and throw them at each other and give each other some nasty stings. And it's a fun game that will make you hate your family.
Yes.
All right. I think it's time to introduce what we're playing next week.
Moon stings all over your body.
And because I'm an asshole, I picked Musashi that we're playing next week for PS1.
I don't know if any of that came through the mic.
I hopefully it did. I'll say it again. We're playing Fencer Musashi for PlayStation 1. It's an action RPG that was made by Squaresoft, and that I had played as a kid. I think I maybe beat it once, but I don't really remember. I'm excited to go back.
The most annoying characters ever voiced by anybody.
Oh god, it's bad. It is
that I haven't
bad. And everything's a food pun. You're trying to rescue Princess Buffet from the kingdom of all you can eat. And Butler Livers is one of the characters.
This might backfire on you, Mike, because that just means I will be making Dragon Ball references the entire episode. So,
no,
sounds like you didn't consider everything when you picked that game.
I did not consider that. All right, and before we wrap up, Cody, do you have anything you want to plug real quick?
Yeah. If you want to find me on almost anything on social media, just search Cajun Crippler, which is all just one word, CAJUNCRIPPLER. Whether that's on Twitter or Instagram, I'm starting to try to pay attention to that. Me and Shane Moss, who does some stand-up, just ran around the ranch recently and petted rhinos and stuff, so I got some cool pictures from that. Other than that, it's just pictures of me. It's just me going on various travels. I go a lot of places. I take pictures of a lot of animals, so check me out there. I am on Twitter, but the most interesting thing I've done in the last year is I called Riley Green out for being dumb. And if you don't know who Riley Green is, then good for you. Don't bother looking him up. He had the worst country music song of last year. It's called I Wish Grandpa's Never Died. It's just as bad as it sounds. So I called him out.
Virginia Beach not too long ago, and
I
learned about him, and I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah, Riley Green sucks, and he was racist during the Super Bowl, so I called him out for that, and then I got off of Twitter again. So you can look at my stuff there, but I very rarely do anything. You can look for Cody Laveau on YouTube. I'm going to be starting up some more stuff there. I'm building a computer that's better at capturing video. So as soon as I'm done with that, look out for me playing a bunch of N64 games and wrestling alligators on there. Check out the Laser Time Facebook group, where I'm very active. I often say that you can always tell when I'm having a smoke or I am dropping a deuce, because it's like 20 memes just show up in 5 minutes. And you go, oh, well, Cody must be pooping.
Like the Area 51.
Check that out. Yeah, Area 51.
Right, you just
summer.
wouldn't stop. I was like, this is hilarious.
I literally, I think I did 51 memes in one day just for that. And I'm like, all right, guys, this is the 51st meme. I have to stop for the day. And then I did like another 51 of those.
For those that don't know, it was during the time when they said they were going to raid Area 51. They can't shoot all of us. And all the memes that came out of that wonderful event that never happened. So
it happened.
And I was working. Working overtime.
No one charged them.
That was crazy.
A bunch of just showed up and did
they all just went up there and like got drunk. It was funny.
Yeah.
But dude, I was I'd forgotten about that. But yeah, I was going solid with that bit. I also moderated a group called
one military dude with an assault rifle for everyone to go like, yeah, we're fine over here.
Like, yeah, we're fine. Yeah, we're fine.
Maybe they.
And then I also moderate a group called Fitness Time. Look that up. It's not just about working out. It's about lifestyle. It's a very, very positive group where we try to lift each other up, help one another, and not only our fitness, but our mental health journeys. Also started that group a little over 3 years ago. And I am more proud of that on Facebook than anything else.
All right.
So check us out if you want to check that out. But otherwise, Cajun Crippler on Untapped or Insta or farmersonly.com. It's all the same thing. So find me there.
All right. And then I think I'm going to wrap up this episode for this week.
Oh,
I have to edit this. Yes.
I'm tempted to even say this because it has nothing to do with this fucking podcast or nothing to do with this show.
Do it.
I just wanted to I just wanted to ask, like, just to our fans, everyone should know about this who's a hockey fan, but holy shit, the best hockey game ever fucking happened this week. And it was insane. A 42-year-old guy who stopped playing professional hockey in 2003 and got a kidney transplant in 2004 was called into a fucking hockey game as an emergency backup goalie. I've already bought like the fucking shirt they've put out for it, but holy shit. Like I saw
and he was a Zamboni driver.
He was a Zamboni driver. So if any of our fans don't like follow hockey, you should at least look up the David Aries Aryes story because holy shit. And it was on the 40th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice. Like a fucking Toronto Canadian hero was made this fucking weekend, and it was insane.
It was wild.
I didn't know you were a hockey fan, Stu.
Oh, it was the craziest thing. We were all like, we were playing a game, and some person was in our Discord, and they're a massive hockey fan. They were talking about it, and they were talking about the game so much. They were like, holy shit, they're bringing in this guy. And we all stopped playing a game and opened up this fucking stream to watch the game. We're like, holy fucking shit. This dude is 42 and he got like 5 saves. And like literally that night he came in for the Hurricanes in Toronto. He was in Toronto. He was like a Toronto maintenance guy. He had to come out and play for the Hurricanes as their emergency backup player. And he was wearing a Toronto helmet.
And won.
And they fucking won. And he got like 5 saves and killed it. And the interview they did afterwards was great because he's so Canadian. He was like, yeah, I'm just happy to be out here. Eh? They called me out to play some hockey, and I always like playing some hockey.
Great. I think that wraps up this episode of Games My Mom Found. I want to thank everyone for listening. I want to give a quick shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Bulby, aka Mike Stoney, from his EP Bite the Bullet song. It's a Cool Kid Squad. You will see a link in the YouTube for his YouTube in the show notes. Also, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're at Games My Mom Found or at My Mom Found, something like that. I don't understand Twitter, but I constantly posting images of the upcoming games, usually when I'm not overworked. So you can see things, kind of get an idea of what we're going to be talking about, and maybe get you excited for the upcoming things that we're doing. Plus, We do a lot of comic episodes. We do a lot of movie episodes. To one of our listeners who's actually a co-host with me on my MCU thing I'm trying to do, Michael Hughes, didn't even know we did Double Dragon. I was like, how do you... I post this stuff everywhere. So scroll through it. You might see something you didn't even know we did, and then we covered it. You get some laughs out of it. Also, we are... Well... that's about what I want to say on the air. So I want to thank everyone for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Watch hockey.